OverDrive, off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, up on TSN 2, and, of course, up on YouTube Live, up on the TSN YouTube channel. Brian Hazy, Doug, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan, man. This intro is getting long, dude. I might throw out some social media accounts. What else can I throw out of the gate? Yeah, just get everything out there where you can find us.
I love it. I love the list. I need you to get me some excitement, Hazy. I'm kind of feeling that Leafs are out of the playoff lull for a Toronto market, and I'm a little bit down. I need you to lift my spirits. Give me something interesting. Give me a team to look for. Give me something to grab onto.
It can't be the Jays.
It Stu
It's
Skinner?
not the Jays.
I know.
Not the Jays.
Am I latching on to Stu Skinner
smokes.
going Dominic Hasek? Like, is that what I'm going to latch on to for the next month?
This guy fascinates me.
You owe him an apology, by the way.
No,
He's
because
another He's
I owe
another
him
guy
an
on your
apology.
list.
Well, listen, this is what I'm going to say to him, and I think this is the best way to describe Stuart Skinner. He is either the best goalie in the world,
Don't you dare put it into a negative
or
light.
the worst. There's nothing in between.
There's no in between.
There's no in between. He's either the best goalie playing or he's the worst goalie playing. And to his credit, yesterday he was phenomenal. He's been so good. I don't know what else to say about the guy. I mean, I'm not convinced we're still not going to see Calvin Pickard at some point. I'm not convinced, and it sounds like Pickard could back up as early as tomorrow night.
Do you think it makes McJesus' underpants quiver just a little bit when he goes in? He's like, I love the guy, but I just...
It's either the best or the worst, Noodles. There's no in between for this guy.
I
None.
don't disagree. I mean, we ran a board where it's like it's either shutout or the guy's got a 790 save percentage. Like, there's just no in between. Now, last night he allowed a goal, but well, you know what I mean. It's 882 or something. Like, it's not much, like higher. But yesterday afternoon, I had to make sure you always have to, when it's an afternoon game, which I still think is the most ridiculous, stupidest thing. And I understand it's either ESPN or ABC or CBS or whoever doing it. It's still stupid. I'm sorry to watch a conference final hockey game. You're trying to rev up the engine at 1 o'clock Mountain Time in Edmonton. If you're the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers, trying to get the emotions going. And afternoon games stink. But it ended up being Stu Skinner. I thought he was unbelievable yesterday. Like, that game wasn't a 6-1 game. I just, as far as the chances and stuff like that, it was pretty darn close. But Skinner was better than Ottinger. That's really what it came down to.
He was. Yet, I also look at, who did the damage. And this is where I push back a little bit on, because I've heard that description. I saw your post game. I thought it was great last night. Pierre LeBrun was talking about it, and you guys, were closer in the trenches than I was watching the game,
right?
Because it was an afternoon game, and I was still knocking the rust off, trying to figure out exactly what was going on.
Exactly.
But I think the idea that it wasn't that type of game. My pushback on that is, look who decided that this is how it was going to happen.
Oh, I get you. 97.
Absolutely. And that is where I don't think Peter DeBoer can really say, I love my game, because that guy just decided this is how it's going to happen. Because the second period in particular, Skinner made 20 of 21 stops. Dallas had all these chances, all these opportunities, and you guys were highlighting them, and everyone was witnessing it. And then McDavid twice just goes, this is how it's going to happen. This is what's happening, and we're winning this afternoon, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that is the definition of greatness. Like, that is what is expected. And the beauty of this guy and the other guy that he plays with, because he's right there. You notice they've caught Rantanen now. All of a sudden, McDavid's leading the league in points in the playoffs, and Draisaitl is third. He's right behind Rantanen, and I have no doubt he's going to blow past him.
Now it's, where is Rantanen?
Right, he hasn't scored in 6 games, I believe it is.
Very quiet.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very, very quiet.
But my fear for Dallas is, and I said it last year, they got to a point, and it was against the Oilers, where their young guys were looking young, and their old guys were looking old. And that combination, basically, with combining that with McDavid and Draisaitl and the way they played, and it just looks like I don't know if they're going to have any answers for what they're doing.
Well, you're right.
You on that.
The thing is, though, if you're Pete DeBoer, you're looking at, I know Robertson had an injury, but he's coming back. Matt Duchene, Rantanen. Now, Hintz Yes,
What is your read on that, man? Like, the guy gets his foot in the boot and goes out for a skate and doesn't play. I was shocked by that.
I was shocked. If you're on the ice, to me, you're playing. But especially now, again, not a doctor, don't profess to be, but obviously there's a couple hundred bones in your foot. Like, he's broken a bone or something that you can't even push off of. But I don't know if you've ever frozen a foot or frozen something to play. I thought for sure Hintz was going to play with just a frozen foot type of thing. Like, they probably tried to do that or whatever. It didn't. It was weird because I know he's on the trip, and yes, he goes into warm-up. But it's rare a guy is a game-time decision this deep in the playoffs, and he doesn't play. I mean, he must be very hurt.
Especially with that. Like, you can speak to it. But, like, when you break your foot, getting your foot in the skate is incredibly painful. But once it's in and laced, generally, it's like, okay, I'm going to play. I mean, that
would be the deal. It's like you say to the doctor trainer, you get my foot in there and tie that thing up, I'm playing.
Right.
But, it's difficult to judge anybody. You never like to judge injuries. But all his teammates, as soon as they see him skating out there, like going up to him and saying, you're good. You're just assuming he's good.
Yes.
Yeah,
you hardly ever, especially that far in the playoffs, where it's like, I got out here, but there was something I just didn't like, so see you later.
Yeah,
it would be a buzzkill, man.
I was shocked he didn't play.
I was shocked, too. Now, maybe they get him back for Game 4. Maybe they wanted to give it a day or two to stop swelling or something like that. I don't profess to know. But they certainly need their top players to try and be difference makers, and in a positive way. Because, listen, it's a different animal playing against Edmonton because, Edmonton's got a quick strike offense. That's the difference. This Bouchard's playing some unreal hockey.
He's unbelievable. I thought you were going to yell at me about the Bouchard because I made a couple inflammatory comments about him about a month ago.
You did.
That were, I think, justified in the moment, the way he was playing. I think the gist
of one of the comments was, last year is over with, and this is a new animal on the negative.
Yes, he was playing as poorly as I can recall, like a number one defenseman playing. Again, he wasn't alone.
Right.
When they were playing against LA, they were terrible. Like, they got destroyed the first couple of games.
The first two games, they looked disjointed.
Yes.
They looked like a group that hadn't played together, which was rightfully so. Kane coming in, Frederick's limping around. Keep in mind, Frederick barely made that game. I think it was Game 1 or Game 2. He was limping around or near the end of the season.
Then he had to come out of the lineup because he was still banged up.
Like And Klingberg, we all thought this guy's never putting his gear on again.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, these curl and dragon play, everything's kind of all come together. So rightfully, we always talk about it. We talk what's in front of us. A month ago, when they were playing LA, it didn't look that good. And then all of a sudden, it looked good. And
since Game 5 of the Kings, I would say, they have been consistently the best team in the playoffs. That would include Florida, in my opinion, because I'm having a difficult time. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe they're on par with Florida because Florida's been incredibly impressive. But, you referenced, and we'll get to that in a moment, what's going on down in Carolina, your old stomping grounds. But, yes, you got to ask for more out of Dallas's best players. I think you can expect more, but I don't think you can expect them to keep up with Edmonton's best if they're going to play like that. I think that is what is an issue, and that is it's almost like you can't expect Wyatt Johnston to ride with Draisaitl. It's not going to happen. You can't do it. They're
expecting a lot more than what the hell they're doing.
100%.
But let's be honest. Other than one period, Edmonton has mopped them around the ice.
They've been better than them.
Other than one period where they got 5 in the third period. So it's go time in the first period for the Dallas Stars tomorrow night because if they don't put it together and show the Oilers something and put something in their mind, it's basically game over.
Absolutely. And it's just been a weird conference final. Again, Edmonton, you can't get too confident. You can't put the cart before the horse. Dallas is still a really good team. I think they'll respond. It's only 2-1. So that is a different story. But what's going on in the Eastern Conference is it is wild to watch. Like, Florida is so good. They're getting stronger. They're like this demon that just continues to grow and grow and grow and get badder and badder and badder. But I find Carolina, talk about a team that just decided to pack it in and fold.
Wow. I was most disappointed, and I couldn't believe Matthew Tkachuk chased that Aho around and just dummied him and embarrassed him, and there was no Carolina player in there.
Yeah,
that's
your best player, arguably.
That's your top player, and they destroy him on the score sheet, whatever it was, 6-1, whatever. It was 1-1 for the longest time, and then all of a sudden you blink and it's like
third
5-1.
period. It was over, man. Florida just said we're not doing this.
And then Tkachuk goes, okay, I'm gonna remember what you did to Sam Reinhart. I'm gonna chase you around, and it's not like Tkachuk is his brother. Like Brady's the killer. Matthew's not, but Matthew plays hard and is a good teammate in that. I just thought there would be some form of pushback from Carolina. Like somebody goes flying in there and you got a Donnybrook. Like that's like, because Rod Brindamore, when he was playing, he would have been in there. Like that's the difference.
That's where how you don't take a piece of flat, like, because Tkachuk is basically asking for it at that point. Like they're embarrassing you on the scoreboard in the series, and now he's deciding I'm going to get some retribution, which is, selective. I think it's being I understand why it's being promoted. A lot of people are loving it. A lot of people, Aho is Aho. Is he going to do that if it's Tom Wilson that knocked out Reinhart? No. I don't think so. I mean,
Aho is still as great a player as he is, Hayes. It's like all of them are so light. Like, you know what I mean by light? Like they play so light. And I think that's a philosophy. No GM, I mean, whether you're an analytics guy, but I don't believe he believes in heavy type hockey. He wants that chase it around and get it back and lots of shot volume, and that's how we're going to win. But that's the end of the line for that group. Like that group, it's so light, they don't even have a chance. Like they're players every year. It's the same thing. And I said it before, what does it say for Montreal? Because they were at the end of the line against Washington. Washington was at the end of the line against Carolina. And now Carolina is absolutely getting their ass handed to them where it's absolutely no contest.
Well,
Zero contest. They're so light. They have nothing to say what the Florida Panthers are doing to them.
And now the one thing I will say on both sides, the longer that you go, you're starting to see some guys drop, right? Reinhardt's not playing. Mikkola, like that was that didn't look good. Like he's been a hell of a defenseman there. Yep. So there was 3 guys from Florida that weren't playing tonight. I missed the third one.
AJ Greer's not playing.
Yeah, Greer. So then there's the 3, and then looks like Connor Brown from Edmonton.
Yeah, it was a big hit last night.
We talked about Rupe Hintz. The longer you play, you put yourself in a situation where somebody takes a piece of you, and you're limping along. Carolina, like they have to. I would just like to see some pushback tonight. I don't know what it's going to matter to, but I just think I would like to see them make a game of it. I even for the coach, because the coach is a hell of a, like, keep in mind, we're talking, they're in the Final Four, and we're just kind of MFing them a little bit, and it's like, these guys
they deserve it. Like they're at the end of the line. It's a great story getting there, but you're getting your ass handed to you,
and it looks like every year, right?
Yeah, and it looks like not only are you getting your ass, it looks like you have, like a couple years ago, I think Roddy said, those weren't 4-1 games. We were in those games.
Yeah,
you can't say that this year.
Yeah.
No, he wouldn't dare say that.
No, like that. He was like, if he's got to speak tonight after that game, he's like, I don't know what else to say. But he said it the other day after game 1 or 2. He's like, we got to try to find a way to win one period.
Yeah. Well, and yesterday,
you throw out the one period, you're in big trouble, man.
Yeah. And the other day it was, his rookies can't be the best players, or it can't be Stahl, or it can't be, whoever the veterans are. Basically, he's saying Aho, Svechnikov, Jarvis,
all of them.
Yeah, the guys in the middle, your guys in your prime, they're the ones that have to be your best players. And I'm not holding my breath that Carolina does anything tonight. And, it speaks to maybe that division to an extent. Like it hasn't really held its own, where you're going to see a scenario here where, again, I think Florida's going to go back, and the state of Florida is going to be represented in the Cup final for 6 straight years. Yeah. 6 years in a row. It's going to be Tampa and Florida.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
It is
really crazy.
They deserve it, though. That's
they've earned it. They have earned it.
I don't think it has anything to do with tax breaks. I'm sorry. I don't think it does.
No, it's just they put together a program, like it helps. Like, listen, tax breaks help, weather helps.
I know, but I think they've just put together some great hockey teams. Like anybody else could have went out and got Seth Jones. Anyone else could have traded for Sam Bennett or Rodriguez, or you know what I mean? Like they just. Mikkola, the Rangers had Mikkola. I think St. Louis had Mikkola. They just discarded him. Yeah.
It is. Like these are, but again, when you add players to your team that are, we'll call them support players, like guys that don't have to be your ones, then, in a different program, they can either drop off or they can excel. That's the beauty of adding players into your program. If you are comfortable enough with the spine of your team, with the core of it, then you just add, right?
And I give Billy Zito a ton of credit, Jamie, because he doesn't – we talked about Carolina being the GM's and analytics guy, and it's all small, skilled, fast, puck possession. I think Bill Zito has or his pro scouting or whoever he leaves it up to, just different players that will fit into the system. Brad Marchand, Mikkola, they're all like different guys that can fit into the system. He's not like in love with one thing. He just finds guys with different attributes, and they're going to fit into his team, and it's impressive.
I think one thing that we can focus on, and even have a Toronto flavor about it, is the word culture keeps coming back, right? Like, that's the one thing that Tampa built it, Florida's built it, and Florida took a big swing on it. Keep in mind, it was comfortable. It looked like a country club there. It's Huberdeau, and it's Barkov, and they're a damn good team, but they jarred the group. They jarred the core group with that trade. And Matthew Tkachuk helped change that culture. And Marchand fits into that culture, the way that they want to play.
But it all started with that Matthew Tkachuk.
Yes.
Matthew Tkachuk. And that coach of theirs, man, my old buddy Mo, he has the media. He's like feeding them pigeon birdseed, like just
playing them like a fiddle.
Well, you can this is his latest. You can either go to church or shotgun a beer, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
So profound.
I almost passed out. I'm like,
it's
Mo,
so profound.
You gotta stop it. You're just feeding the pigeon. He's throwing birdseed off the podium.
He can't get
everybody's
enough, though, man. Anything he says, it's gospel right now. It is gospel.
Honestly, he is so brilliant in the media. He's a great coach. He's well spoken. Obviously, see, like these coaches.
You should put a bird feeder beside the podium and some bird seed, and just let everyone come up and have some before he starts talking.
Even our buddy Pete DeBoer. Like, I think Pete's amazing in the media. He just kind of shoots from the hip. He doesn't, pull any punches. He's very poised, although his head looked like it was going to blow off its body when they missed that call yesterday.
When that was over the glass, and then they scored right after, I thought he was going to put on some skates and skate on the ice and fight the ref.
Charge
because that was a turnaround. That's incredible. Like, that's. I know doing those hits on SportsCenter, that is probably the first item, no?
It was. Well, I mean, we obviously, our hit, or the layers of our hits yesterday started, it was Skinner because we thought Skinner was unbelievable and McDavid. But I think that was number 2 on the docket. That was the TSN turning point.
Yes.
Because it was 1-1. And then Kulak fires that over the glass. Now, listen, we have the luxury. It was a weird, like, you couldn't pick it up. We, like, the third replay, we're like, oh yeah, that looks like it goes straight out. And then DeBoer, the director does a great job panning right to DeBoer, and the look on his face, he wanted to charge the mound. And of course, they score immediately. Bouchard scores, and then McDavid scores right after that, and that's 2 Cobb. End of the first period. Like, it was. That was the TSN turning point, because Dallas came out like gangbusters in the second and had some great chances, but it was McDavid that put the lights out right near the end of the second with that 3-1 goal. That was it.
That was it. And, we're going to see Florida. It'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward here in terms of playing, clearly, but also, the TSN's revealed their top 50 free agent list, and to no one's surprise, Mitch Marner's at the top of that list. But Sam Bennett's number 2. Tavares is number 3. Aaron Ekblad's in the top 10. Like, those are 2 guys, Bennett and Ekblad, that are core pieces, like big pieces to what they've done the last few years.
Yeah, and somebody sitting in a boardroom saying, maybe Carolina. Maybe Carolina is saying, we need to get both of these guys.
Yeah, and they got the money to do it.
Yeah, they've got the money to do it, and you talk about just what I said. They're so light. And that's exactly what they would need, is to sign both of those players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but, in the end, let's not forget, like, I would imagine that those players would probably want to stay in Florida and might want to keep
Jamie,
them
no
too.
kidding. I wouldn't even,
Obviously.
if I just won a Stanley Cup and the group was kind of relatively young, I would say I'm not even going into the season thinking about this. I want to be a Florida Panther for the next 5 years, because you got to think of the next 5 year stretch. If they win it again, they're going to have a couple more chances to pick some more off.
Well, and that's where I do think that the tax break conversation, I think, is very specific to that. It pushes something over the line where, you look at a guy like Bennett, let's say it's him, and he can maybe he can get $10 million somewhere else for 7 years. And they're like, we can give you 7.5 for 8, but if you look at it after taxes, it's the same amount of money. Why would you ever leave?
Take home amount.
Yes. Why would you ever leave? Yep. Now, you might leave if the team's not that good. You might leave if you didn't like your role on the team. You might leave if there's some sort of issue in the room, or
might leave if there was bad weather.
If there was bad weather,
wrong,
exactly. Yeah,
wrong,
and that's
wrong.
That's all. It doesn't start at the tax break stuff necessarily, but it closes, right? It's got a Mariano Rivera vibe to it. Like, hey, not only are we going to help you win, not only are you going to love this, not only are you going to set up on the beach, not only are you an integral part, not only are you blah, 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 also we're going to do this because of the taxes so we can save a little bit of money, and then we can keep that guy, and then you keep winning. And they've utilized it too, because you got to have the stones to do it. And it started really in the state of Florida with Steve Yzerman. It started with Steven Stamkos and Yzerman saying, this is what you're getting. Go find something else if you want, but this is what it's going to be, 8.5 tax-free. And Stammer said, fine, I'm coming back, and I don't want to leave. And then Hedman said, I'll take 7.8 because I don't want to leave either. And then and then Florida picked up on that and said, you got to have the stones to tell them you're not moving above that number, and I guarantee you they won't. I guarantee you Bill Zito will not look at Sam Bennett and say, I can't lose this guy. Fine, you can have 10. He will not do it. He won't do it. He will stick to his numbers, and he will force the players to take it, and they probably will.
Keep in mind, the people that are willing to overpay are the ones that are going to overpay to bring them into their system. So, Florida's not willing to overpay because
they don't have to.
They don't have to in that sense. Now, they want the player, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
But it's more about, we talk about it, different markets. We call it the cold weather tax, or maybe small market tax, or whatever. Keep in mind, this is a free agent. So, if Sam Bennett, I don't even know what the number would be, but let's say he's got 8 times 8, $64 million sitting on the table for him in Florida. And somebody goes, well, I've got 7 times 10, right? Like the $70 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's in a different tax
After
situation.
Taxes,
different
exactly. You wouldn't leave. Why would you?
But also, you've also got, you don't know what the city's like. You don't know. I believe he's married. What does his wife, value? That type of stuff. Does he have kids? Like all of the stuff you have to factor in now. Well, in our era, maybe I'm going to speak for myself. I wasn't married and was single most of my career. But
me too.
I didn't. Okay, so fair enough. So the point being,
so you guys can offer nothing to this conversation.
I didn't know. What I'm saying is, I didn't come with a posse or a package.
Right.
Nowadays, guys come with it's parents come in, it's the brothers, you've got a whole package that comes in now. It's
Jamie, I think when we played, I don't even know if anyone was like, oh, Winnipeg, Edmonton, oh, you want me? Okay, you want to sign a contract? I'll play there. There wasn't a whole lot of, obviously guys could pick and choose in free agency, but I got drafted by the Hartford Whalers, went to Hartford thinking it was the greatest place on earth. I don't know. It was just a lot different.
It is different, and nowadays the people in your lives have a say too. That's the difference. So, I think there's a lot on the table there, but if Sam Bennett's number gets to a massive amount, maybe it's a team that isn't a playoff team that is going, we'll give you 10, but we're rebuilding this program here. We want you a part of it. Mm-hmm. Now, keep in mind, there are other – Tennessee's a tax-free state. Alberta, there are good tax situations throughout the league outside of Florida. It's just there are ones that, like California's heavy, New York State is heavy, obviously Canada's, Ontario's heavy, that type of stuff. You do have to factor in your take-home money if that's part of your formula.
Yeah, listen, it is a business, and these guys, everyone's in it to make money, but there's also an element of pressure that would come with that maybe Sam Bennett can embrace and will embrace. Maybe he wants. I don't know. But I don't think his contract will matter in Florida. Like, whatever he signs for, he just slides in behind Barkov, he keeps playing with Tkachuk, and he'll just play. Where if you sign for, let's say, $10 million in whatever city it is. It doesn't have to be Toronto.
Utah.
Fine, Utah. They're going to be like, all right, you're the highest paid guy. You're this big star that we just signed that's won cups. You better be great. And again, maybe it doesn't affect his game. Maybe it does, though. Maybe it's a Mike Komisarek scenario. Maybe it's a David Clarkson scenario where he gets out and it's like, you got to realize I'm scoring 20 goals and I'm going to have like 45 points, but I'm going to play heavy and be really good. And if we get to the playoffs, then I'm really going to step up. But if he goes somewhere where they don't make the playoffs.
No, it doesn't work with a garbage team.
No, exactly. Like Sam Bennett on a bad team doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make any sense for him to go to Chicago and play behind Bedard. It makes no sense.
It's like Sergachev. I think Sergachev had it in his mind that he wanted to be the top dog, and obviously he has the capabilities. But when you're on a decor with Hedman and McDonough and all those guys, it's like you can just go out there and do your thing on it's not spot duty, but it's like you got other guys that are just surrounding you. And when you're asked to go out there and be the guy, it's a completely different ball game.
Totally different ball game.
You're right. Now, if those organizations end up turning a corner, like I'll give you San Jose. If San Jose is a team that a couple years from now is a going concern,
possibly,
then you sign a 7-year deal, and you're looking at year 3 that you guys are
assuming
pushing.
It works. Yeah, again, assuming it works, and it's guaranteed money and whatever. You're going to live your life. I'm just saying. I'm talking even from a standpoint of like team building. It's like 3 years from now, really? I'm going to spend, just hope it works for 3 years from now? I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. And Marner can factor into this, too. And we'll get into that conversation as we move forward here.
Hazy, I just want to give you a little heads up. All of your pumping the tires of YouTube is working. I just got a tweet from a fan that said, YouTube is incredible for this show. I can watch on the New York side of Lake Ontario.
Wow,
really?
There you go. We're blowing up. Blowing up in the States on Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day.
Blowing up on YouTube.
I also want to get into the fact that I think we should start swearing, because that would maybe make it a YouTube thing. Like, you're allowed to swear on YouTube, aren't you?
I'm pretty sure you're allowed to do basically anything on YouTube.
I just don't think.
I think there's still a TSN component
Obviously,
to all that.
there is. And, Jeff McDonald would charge the mound if we started swearing out of nowhere.
Possibly even further up the chain than
further
him.
up, Kenny Volden.
Reds, Kenny Volden, let us know. Can we start dropping some swearing?
You know what? And the live chat is great. There's Ashton on the YouTube live chat saying Hayes is not a fraud. So I support that.
Good stuff,
great stuff.
Are you on the YouTube live chat?
You just checked it out on the phone. You go to TSN's YouTube channel, and we're up there, and there's chats, and everyone's very supportive.
Moves, man.
Everyone's always very supportive. All right, Rashad coming up, and Ray will join us. Ray Ferraro just after 5 o'clock today. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Overdrive on TSN is powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score.
At FanDuel, we know hockey fans don't just have a hunch. You have a hockey hunch. You could tell they're going to light the lamp before they do. You could see that assist coming a mile away.
Down the board, pass it right,
and you just know when your goalie is totally in the zone. So put your hockey hunches together for a same-game parlay. Bet the NHL all season long on FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook.
I'm just browsing around while I wait for my car. Oh, this is cute. Yeah, there's no price on this.
Oh, that's because it's not for sale. We're just vehicle specialists.
But the last place I went sold all kinds of things.
At Fountain Tire, we focus on one thing, your vehicle.
Huh. I like that.
Tires are on, belts replaced, sidecar attached. You're all set.
Great.
Great.
Fountain Tire. We're on this road together, Canada.
We are made in Canada. Homegrown, Canadian-owned and operated. We're neighbors, friends, family, who breathe life into the communities we live in and nurture the backyards we play in, planting millions of trees each year. We're more than just made in Canada. We're a fabric of Canada.
Dove Men Plus Care Whole Body DO protects you everywhere. Here, when you're there. There, when you're here. Even down there. Dove Men Whole Body DO. Care that goes everywhere. Everywhere.
Being a dad and granddad means ensuring I've got all the tools to make the right choice. And now I'm in my 50s. That's more important than ever. That's why I'm choosing to look after my family, just in case.
Welcome to Senior's Choice, the #1 direct choice for Canadians over 50. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for Canadian seniors life insurance, please.
If you're a Canadian resident age 50 to 80, you can choose the right amount of coverage for you and your family up to $250,000.
That kind of money would help a lot.
You can choose to apply over the phone now in just a few minutes with no medicals or blood tests needed, only a few health and lifestyle questions.
Okay, great.
Depending on the coverage you choose, it could be as little as $17.02 a month. That's just 56 cents a day.
That's less than I thought. And that money could help cover my funeral costs, settle debts, or help my wife with retirement planning. I'll do it. Now that's done, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To get a free, no-obligation quote, call one of our trusted insurance advisors today at 1-844-808-7120 or visit seniorschoice.ca.
Your best defense against erosion and cavities is strong enamel. Nothing beats it. Pro Enamel Active Shield actively strengthens the enamel to defend against erosion and cavities. I think that this product is a game changer for my patients. It really works.
For the first time in MasterChef history, we'll have partners in the kitchen. Mothers and daughters, best friends, husbands and wives, a divorced couple.
Leave me alone.
That can get a little complicated.
Let's see who's the best.
We have the best chemistry.
Gonna get spicy.
This is a freaking train wreck.
Just calm down.
This is better than my restaurants.
Delicious. Perfect. A definite dynamic duo. Well done.
MasterChef Dynamic Duos. All new. Wednesday at 8, 9 Mountain on CTV. Stream next day on Crave.
The rink will be rocking.
As loud as this sport can be.
As a star-studded field of golfers, led by our nation's best.
Oh, Canada.
Contend for the Canadian crown. The RBC Canadian Open on TSN and TSN+.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Fellas, the YouTube talk is blowing up. It's blowing up. Just got one that says, I only watch on YouTube now. And the other one said, oh, dog, this is the best thing that ever happened to OverDrive was make it live on YouTube. It's
Man,
cooking.
We're peaking. We're peaking here. I love it. Listen, we got exciting times coming up this week because what's going on with the Canadian Open and the NHLPA, right? You're doing like a golf shootout up at Osprey Valley on Thursday. I think, you're going to be up there, and Carl and a bunch of former players, current players. That's going to be awesome.
Who am I representing, the former players or the media side of it?
That's a great question. I think former player. I think you're former player, Jeff O'Neill.
Former player, yes.
And we'll be at the RBC Canadian Open next week, and they're at the Memorial this week. And then you got the RBC Canadian Open, then you got the U.S. Open. So we got a few great weeks of golf coming up. You got the Jays, who just got smoked down in Tampa.
Dude, as soon as they kind of get you, like they take care of San Diego, and then it's like, maybe you're trending in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, go down to Tampa Bay and absolutely just lay an egg.
Yeah.
It's like, and I asked Steve Phillips a couple of weeks ago, I was like, is this what to expect? Like, don't get too high or low because this is what they're going to do. And he said, basically, that's it. That's what they are.
Really?
No, exactly. I think this was a perfect encapsulation of that, the last 6 games. You know, your bats are alive. You're crushing the Padres. You get into a position where you're not necessarily right behind the Yankees, but you're within shooting distance of them. And then you go down there, you lose 3 straight, you get pumped 13-0, and your run differential is back down to minus 27.
What's Bassett's deal right now? Is he like...
The thing is, it's the bats that are the issue. Like you can look at Bowden Francis hasn't been great. Obviously Scherzer hasn't pitched. Bassett has had his ups and downs. But you look at a weekend like this, like their bats are ice cold, man. Like Springer had a great start the last month. It's been
he came up on Twitter this week.
It's all of a sudden George is getting hit again, and Varsho, he strikes out way too much. Bo Bichette never walks. Like Bichette never walks. He never gets on base. Like he'll hit for average, but it's either strikeout or like walking is just not in his vocabulary. Like there's no setting the tone as a leadoff hitter whatsoever. And now, they're in Texas playing the Rangers, and the Rangers have been terrible recently too. They've lost 7 in a row, I believe.
What's your best explanation for Bo Bichette? Like that trajectory, I honestly thought he was going to be a megastar.
I think that ship has sailed. Now this is who Bo is. Bo's
I know,
been in
but
the
how
league for a long
did
time.
it go up and down like that? Like, it was trending so up, and then it just fell off a cliff? And then you're just a regular Joe Blow?
More or less. I mean, last year was disastrous for him, clearly.
Did he start an all-star game at shortstop?
Yeah, like when this guy a few years ago, when they were chasing 90 wins, 90 plus, and they obviously went to the playoffs. Yes. Now, there's a lot of great shortstops in the league. Like, there always is. But he was a young stud that would hit for power. That's something that's left him completely. He does not hit for power consistently. He will hit for average. He will be, chasing down batting titles, and he's won that before. But his approach at the plate is really frustrating because he just gets up and starts hacking. Like, there's no patience whatsoever. And as a result, defensively, he's gotten better each year of his career. He's an okay shortstop defensively. But his bat is just, it's good. It's not great.
It's average. So is he hemorrhaging money, you think? Like,
yeah, compared to what I thought he might have been paid 2 or 3 years ago, for sure he is. He's just living in a different stratosphere. And again, the Jays are 2 games under 500 now. So, what are they trending towards? I guess we'll find out. All right, Steve Phillips will join us a little bit later this afternoon. Ray's coming up in about a half an hour. We were talking about Edmonton earlier this hour and how much of it was Skinner and how much of it was just McDavid in the second period saying we're not losing. I lean towards the latter. I know Skinner deserves a lot of credit. He does. He was exceptional. But there's something about McDavid when he's in the mood, and he was yesterday. Here's Ryan Rishaug in Edmonton. If you had to pick one player to determine why they won yesterday, would you pick Skinner or would you pick McDavid?
I would pick Skinner. I would look at that second period, and I would say the Stars mustered their best and threw it at the Oilers in that period, where they have 21 shots or something in that second period.
Yeah.
And Stuart Skinner was the main reason why they repelled the Stars' best. McDavid had a great day. I mean, huge goal late in a period. Looked like his old self, was really, really good, no question. But if Stuart Skinner doesn't have the second period he has, then I don't think the Oilers are in position to be able to lean on it and go for, they ended up generating a ton of offense. But Skinner in that second period was enough of a difference maker for me to give him the nod, fellas.
So what do you make of, what's the buzz around Edmonton about Skinner? Because, we ran a board. It's either feast or famine with him. I mean, there's
the best
no
of the
in-between.
worst. Best of the worst.
Where are you at? I mean, who do you want to listen to? I mean, if you want to hop on Twitter and look for garbage, you're going to find it. He's a polarizing player. Goaltending is tough. This market is tough on goaltenders. Edmonton has a rabid online fan base, and the most vocal of them are the negative people. So if you want to find it, guys, you can find it. Stuart Skinner says he chooses not to find it, and good for him. I think we got to let the cooler heads prevail and continue to have the intelligent conversation and not dig too much into this roller coaster ride that fans are on with this goalie. I think this is what it is. Last year he showed he could get a team to Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. He showed he was capable of that. Came back this year and wasn't as good, struggled this year, but had showed enough last year that Stan Bowman was willing to stand pat with him. And while it was an up-and-down regular season and not a great start to the playoffs, that gamble is paying off. Because Stuart Skinner, once again, is out-dueling Jake Ottinger in a conference final. The Oilers, once again, are spending less than $5 million on their goaltending, which allows them to spend a lot more elsewhere, which is why we're talking about so much depth. And Stuart Skinner has refound his form. So if you want to be on the roller coaster ride, go ahead. To me, it was simple. He showed him he could do it last year. Had a crappy regular season. They chose to believe in him again. Bumpy start, but he's doing what they thought he would be able to do.
Raish, I'm fascinated to know, and I'm sure everyone in this market would be fascinated to know, about playing under the pressure of a Canadian market, because a lot of talk here in Toronto was the market's too tough. And then Leon Draisaitl came out and he said, well, it's a Canadian market, hockey is everything, but we can handle it. What does that mean, they can handle it? Does that just mean they don't care about what anybody says and they go out and they're the best players in the world? How do you describe the way the 2 best players in the world handle the pressure of a Canadian market?
Okay. So this is a tough one for me to answer without sounding like I mean, I cover the Oilers, but you guys know me. I don't cheer. I'm not a fan. I cover it straight.
Neither do we, Reish.
So,
Neither do we.
Yeah.
Journalism.
Sure.
Journalism.
Yeah.
We're journalists here.
Yeah. Come on now.
I'm gonna sound, whatever. I'll just give you an answer. Those guys can handle it because in the final analysis, in the biggest moments, they aren't on the back of milk cartons, and they never have been. They've been good in the biggest moments. So whether the Oilers win or the Oilers lose, in the biggest moments these guys have had to face in their time here, they have showed up and been pushing it in the right direction. Where it gets difficult in these Canadian markets is where you're the highest paid players with the most pressure, and you have these massive moments, and you don't come through in those moments. So the narrative builds. So why does Leon Draisaitl feel like he can handle it? Look at his points per game in the playoffs. Why does Connor McDavid feel like, sure, maybe it gets a little testy with the media now and then, but at the end of the day, I can handle it? Look at his points per game in the playoffs and his production when it matters the most. So it's the culmination of year after year where the highest paid guys aren't coming through in the moments. That's a different kind of pressure than these two not winning a Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. Is that fair?
That's a good answer.
Well, I mean, I think so. In other words, if you play well, there's no pressure. If you play poorly, there's pressure. So I guess what you're saying is it's an excuse.
You have an answer. When you're being asked the question, you have an answer other than being befuddled and confused as to why it just isn't happened and never has happened when it matters.
Well,
And
to be fair, obviously there's a Leaf relation to this. The Leaf players have never said that publicly. Yeah. They have never come out and said we lost tonight because of pressure or it's too much pressure for us.
Or
they've
never said we didn't get it done either. Reish,
well,
I certainly wasn't
valid.
expecting you to get pissy, Reish. I wasn't expecting that.
Wow, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, I'm not. You asked me a question and I'm answering. I'm not getting pissed. No,
I thought there was an angle of pissyism there, but
No, it's just, you guys put me in a position to look like I'm waving an Oiler foam finger.
No,
which
not
I'm
at all.
not.
We don't do that on this show. We are all journalists, Reish.
The market has something to do with it too, though, O. And I say this respectfully. Like, this wasn't necessarily you guys. I'm not talking about your show. But I did have to laugh after Game 5 of that last series. I mean, they're down 3-2 in a really important series. They're 2 wins away from a conference final, and they played like crap. An entire market did a postmortem on an entire franchise and season. It was after Game 5 of a series that's still very much a series. Shanahan's gone, Marner's gone. Like, what's happening? It was just the market there is on the roller coaster with the fans. The ups and downs. And it's just after Game 5 of that series is not the time to do a postmortem on the franchise, and the entire market does. And they bring that to the players. That's different. And that's why I think people roll their eyes and go, this got a little silly when it was a 3-2 series, didn't it? And I'm not saying your guys' show, because I want.
Well, you are though in many ways. We yell and scream, but let me I guess stick up for Toronto, and the reasoning for that is when you lose and you play like that in the biggest moments year after year after year, and then you justify that reaction 4 nights later, I don't think the market has to apologize at all for reacting the way they did in Game 5. I mean, you're 100% justified in that comment, Shagar, if the Leafs won Game 6 and won Game 7. Then you come on here, you guys are a bunch of buffoons, and what is happening in that market?
No.
Everyone knew when they watched Game 5, they're like, I think I know what's coming. And they were right. It's exactly what was coming because it was worse in Game 7. It was worse. And this is where it is different. You're right. In Edmonton, like McDavid, Draisaitl, the way they play, if they're brutal tomorrow night, it shouldn't, you talk about the game and they played poorly or whatever, it will not lead to some big picture thing because they've burst through that because of what you said. They don't end up on milk cartons. When there's a milk carton 9 years in a row, people are very easily triggered, and I know why they are. And I think it would be different here. I know it would be different if 3 years ago the Leafs won a cup or 2 years ago they went to a cup final. Then people would be like, all right, I'm going to have a different viewpoint of what's happening here. But there is, it's deep and it's heavy, and there's a lot of psychology, and it's been a rough ride. in the biggest moments here. So I'm not surprised people reacted the way they did in Game 5. And I get why you would look at it that way. And I think people in Florida would, and Tampa would, and Colorado would. Other successful teams would look at that and say that's crazy. But it never happens here. They don't do it here. They don't show up and they don't win. So people freak out. And that's the way it goes.
And Ryan, add one quick thing to that too. We talked about it before you came on, early in the 4:00 hour. Edmonton, it was pretty noisy there after those first 2 games in L.A. I mean,
that's true, Noodles. It wasn't exactly quiet out there.
It was, especially down the stretch. And we'd had you on, and we talked to Struddy, and that, like, they looked disconnected down the stretch because they didn't have all their players. Guys were banged up. We weren't sure the health and status of McDavid. Draisaitl had time off. And then we weren't sure what's going to go with Kane and Frederick. Like, it was kind of a mishmash, and it rolled into those first 2 games. And then the Oilers, now it's 10 of 12 they've won, and this looks like a wagon. So it looks a lot different, looks and sounds a lot different. But we could argue a calendar month ago, there was probably a few question marks floating around that market as well, correct?
Yeah, and that's fair. But here's the thing, and this is where the experience of having won some series, been in some battles, battling back from being down 3-0 in a Stanley Cup final, there's an inherent confidence with the group. So when they're down 2-0 in a series, as a media group, we understand, doesn't look good. They're not in a good spot. But we also understand this team has the ability to push back into this thing. So we don't talk about, the whole season being, and do a whole postmortem on every time it's sort of a little bit down. You don't have to go big picture and question everything, because this group has shown it's not out of it, right? So at 2-0, not a good start. Tough look for Skinner. Wonder if they made the right call on the goaltending, all those things. But it's still very much a series. And more importantly, never mind what us dummies are saying, the players in that room are not sitting there with doubt creeping in. Mm-hmm. And I don't know when the doubt starts to creep in for the other guys in Toronto and those guys because of history. I don't know when that starts affecting them. But I do know with this Oiler group, when we grill them, they're confident. Like, whatever situation they're in, they've seen it and they're confident. And they kind of ignore the noise and just go about their business. They're really, really good at doing that, but they've earned that through a few years here of some heartbreak and some ups and some downs and shooting themselves in the foot and paying a price and learning and figuring it out next series. And there have been a lot of miles here that they've run as a group in the playoffs and learned a lot of things.
Reach, quickly before we get out of here, is Ekholm going to play tomorrow night?
Man, he looks good, and I know he's pushing. Like, he was following Knobloch around at practice the other day in his ear, and I asked Chris about it. He said, no, we're just talking about his family and stuff. Yeah, right. Like, Matthias Ekholm. Guys, when he first got hurt, they were ready to put a release out saying his year was over. And he was like, let's get another opinion, just another opinion. And they got another opinion, and that created a pathway for him to potentially get back. He looks good. I think there's a chance he goes in Game 4. He talked today, said he wants to, needs to be cleared. The question I have, though, who comes out because you have to bring anyone out, or can you go 11-7? Because Connor Brown's not going to play next game. So you could see 7 defensemen. But Troy Stetcher has been excellent next to Darnell Nurse. You look at Nurse's numbers with Troy Stetcher, I would not want to touch that pairing if I were Chris Knobloch for that reason. And so it's a good problem to have.
All right, we'll find out what comes of it tomorrow night. But the Oilers in the driver's seat. Really good start to this series, clearly. But I'm sure it's long from over with Dallas being the team that they are. Always appreciate you doing this, Shagar. Thank you. We'll do it again soon.
Yeah, I look forward to coming back and just calmly discussing, rationally discussing whatever happens in the game.
Yes, we do. We one game by game analysis. That's what we do. We do not do big picture stuff. We do not put the cart before the horse ever on this show.
All right. Love you guys.
Thanks, Shagar. See you, man. There's Ryan Rashog from Edmonton.
Yeah,
the Edmonton Oilers, man. Everyone looking down on Toronto. The whole country.
Yep.
Just can't take it.
And he just ignored the past and the history and the choking and everything.
Well, no,
he's like, you guys, everyone just goes off the rails. Okay, sorry, we're nuts, man. Notice how quiet he got when you brought up the history of the last 9 years. He was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that.
You make a good point.
Crazy.
Listen, it's got to be fun to cover that Edmonton team, man. Like, it's got to be very soothing to know that those guys are going to put on a performance and make you feel like things are going to go pretty well, and they have so far. Ray Ferraro in about 15 minutes. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Sponge towels. Nothing absorbs like it.
Now I'm in my 50s, I'm all about making the right choices, like eating right and staying healthy. And another thing I can choose is how to look after my family if anything ever happened to me.
Welcome to Senior's Choice, the #1 direct choice for Canadians over 50. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for Canadian seniors life insurance, please.
If you're a Canadian resident, age 50 to 80, you can choose the right amount of coverage for you and your family up to $250,000.
That kind of money would help a lot.
You can choose to apply over the phone now in just minutes with no medicals or blood tests. Just a few health and lifestyle questions.
Wow, that easy.
Depending on the coverage you choose, it could be as little as $14.88 a month. That's just 49 cents a day.
That's less than I thought. And that money could help my family cover my funeral costs, support my husband's retirement planning, or even pay off loans. I'll do it.
To get a free, no-obligation quote, call one of our trusted insurance advisors today at 1-844-820-8006 or visit seniorschoice.ca.
Are you having any fun? What you getting out of living? Who cares for what you've got if you're not having any fun? Are you having any laughs? Are you getting any loving? If other people do, why can't you have a little fun? And have a little fun.
A to-do list. It's never just a list. It's that thing that hangs over your head, always getting in the way, always pulling you out of the moment. But that stops here. Staples has everything you need for work, learning, and life, so you can get back to living. Because crushing your to-do list, that was easy.
Now you can shop smarter at Canadian Tire with same-day delivery for $9.99 for a solution that's right under your nose. Shop smarter at Canadian Tire.
Life is a story we get to embrace every day.
Where are we going?
Who's the driver?
There she is. The rookie who thinks she can take down the Southwest Al Capone.
Hold it.
Oh, I got you.
You don't get to where Saxton is without leaving a trail of bodies.
Sax didn't kill my brother.
What if he did?
I'll kill him myself. She's a problem.
The Ottawa Charge make their maiden voyage to the finals,
What a moment!
where they'll square off with the defending champs.
Minnesota Magic in overtime! Winner takes all.
The PWHL Finals, only on TSN.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Let's get down to business.
All right, Ray's coming up. We'll get to something to chew on as well. Jay's in action today. We've got tickets we're giving away every day this week to the RBC Canadian Open as well. It's going to be a great field, best field they've had in a long, long time. A lot of great Canadians will be out there. Rory McIlroy is going to be out there. Ludwig Åberg's going to be out there.
The Swedish prince.
Yes, he will be out there just doing his thing up at TPC Osprey Valley. So we'll give away those tickets at some point, probably in the next hour, maybe into the 6 p.m. hour. But tickets to the RBC Canadian Open, which is great. And, we got a lot to get into with Ray. We'll get his take, of course, on both series, but we haven't really talked to him since the Leafs have been out either. So we'll get into a number of things with Ray in terms of how he sees this playing out with Marner, Tavares, etc.
We got to see if somebody can get the viz before we get Ray on of how angry he looked before the game started. He was standing on the bench and he just had his hand on his hip and the players were running beside him. He looked so mad.
Okay.
Try to get that, Joe, from the bridge. Just the look on Ray's face. He looks so mad.
All right, we'll see what we can do. Hour 2 coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Bell 5G Plus? What does the plus mean?
Drinking more of summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps. With Oreo in every sip. Perfect for that summer romance you longed for. Or that summer fling with the pool you longed for. Either way, drink in summer with Tim's new Oreo Mocha Ice Caps.
The Mix and Match event is on now at Sleep Country. Because one bedroom can still mean 2 sleep styles. It's time to get mixing and matching with sleep essentials to suit everybody's needs. The Mix and Match event is on now, only at Sleep Country.
You're done.
It's ending. We've got Twizzlers left.
He's getting away!
Twizzlers, keep the fun going. Another season? Let's go!
Our new home, somewhere we can build a life. And I'm gonna do everything I can to look out for you. And that starts with being smart about our family's financial future.
Welcome to Cover Direct, Canada's most trusted direct life insurance provider. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like to get a quote for family life insurance, please.
If you're a Canadian resident aged 18 to 70, you can apply for up to $1.5 million of coverage and help give your family some peace of mind.
That's great.
You won't need a medical or blood test to be approved. There are just a few health and lifestyle questions.
Sounds good.
If you chose $100,000 of coverage, it could be as little as $9.66 a month for the first year. That's just 32 cents a day.
That's less than I thought. And that money could pay for the mortgage for him one day.
Cover Direct Family Life Insurance is exclusively available from us. You can't buy it anywhere else.
I'll do it.
The smart way to protect your family's future is to get Cover Direct. To get a quote today, call our friendly Canadian team at 1-844-990-3342 or visit coverdirect.ca.
CIBC makes sure your spending is never a mystery. Because with the CIBC Smart Account, you can go back through your spending history. So it's like you're actually there to see your money and make sense of your money. And now, get $450 and a $100 Skip gift card when you open a CIBC Smart Account.
Check this out. The phone is the key.
Like you, the redesigned Tucson doesn't stop. You got places to go and stories to tell.
Sleeping like a baby. Thank goodness for baby mode.
And with more than 9 out of 10 Tucsons sold in the last decade still on the road, WA keeps you going.
Newfoundland being an island, when something happens, we all pull together.
From the wind.
Let her go, let her go, let her go!
And salt water.
Let's do this dance, baby!
Comes a kind of courage.
3, 2, 1.
You can't find anywhere else.
I'm crazy enough to do it.
You can never know when the call's going to come in.
All persons have been located and are safe.
It's amazing. It's a miracle.
East Harbor Heroes, new season, Tuesday, June 3rd on USA Network. Stream next day on Crave.
They're duking it out on the quiz show where knowing it all pays big. Gen Xers will come out swinging. Let's do it. But will Gen Z beat them to the punch? Let's go. Will the millennials throw in their towels? Or will the boomers have them all on the ropes? All right. Britney Spears, Barbenheimer, Beyonce. Who's gonna win it all?
Lily Singh hosts the #1 Canadian game show, Battle of the Generations, Wednesday on CTV. Stream next day on Crave.
It's a knockout of a season.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Take my breath.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. We've got Ray Ferraro coming up here in a few moments. The Stanley Cup playoffs continuing tonight. The NBA playoffs continuing. What a comeback by the Knicks yesterday, man.
Yeah, I thought they were dead in the water.
Down by 20 at at points in the first half. They were down by 20, and Karl Anthony Towns 20 points in the fourth quarter. He was in foul trouble too. Brunson was in foul trouble. He didn't play a ton in the fourth quarter, and they found a way to battle back and win that. And that was so necessary because you look at everything like in the NHL. Panthers, I think they probably sweep tonight, but it's probably done in 5. The
Right.
Dallas-Edmonton series, that should be a good series. I still think that's going to go 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But in the NBA, Oklahoma City and Minnesota have just been 3 blowouts in a row, and I think the Thunder are going to win that. And if the Pacers were just going to cruise to their win over the Knicks, it would be awful.
Yeah.
Like you just have a collection of 4 conference finals between the 2 leagues, and none of them were really meeting the billing. So the Knicks.
Do you not agree that this is kind of the lull? I mean, they have the excitement at the beginning, and it kind of goes into a bit of a lull, man.
Big time. And sometimes we get into the conversation about TV and TV executives and how people feel. Like in Indiana, Oklahoma City NBA Finals, and
not that sexy.
Yeah, it's like,
well, it won't be reflected in the numbers because if you get like a Nick number as opposed to a Pacer number, dude, it's massive.
Huge swing, man.
Yeah, you don't think that no Rangers, none of that, no
Exactly.
Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, you don't think that's affected the hockey viewership numbers?
It's so obvious. Like you see people fall, and I get it; these are real numbers, but the ratings are down. But when you don't have Boston or New York or Chicago or Detroit or Pitt, you're gonna get hit. And
if this was the New York Rangers versus the Boston Bruins conference final, outrageous numbers.
Yes, exactly. And the truth is, Florida, Edmonton, for American audiences, won't be great. It'll be incredible up here. It should be great if you're a hockey fan because you got a repeat. You got a team that is on the verge of becoming a dynasty or a modern one. Everyone's got a different definition of how you would define a dynasty. But if you go to a cup 3 straight years, you're knocking on the door. And McDavid and Draisaitl back in a cup final. And I find myself openly rooting for McDavid to win one because it just opens the door for so many different conversations about his career and about what he's chasing and where he goes in terms of rankings and all that kind of stuff.
And he's got a contract looming.
That's true.
You might look at it differently if he's got a ring under his belt. Now, let's not put the cart before the horse. They're up 2-1.
Hey,
and,
Ryan Rashog wouldn't allow us to do that. We don't want to do something Shagar would be upset about.
Maybe Ray will start tuning us up, too.
Yeah, I mean, we were, putting the cart before the horse after Game 5, Leafs Panthers. But
yeah.
Anyway.
But you know what? You had a good comeback because they proved everybody right.
And everyone was totally justified.
Because they got dummied in Game 7, too. So it's like, Game 6 was a reprieve, but then Game 7 was a...
It was worse.
It was worse.
It was even worse. Here's Ray Ferraro, our ESPN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. What's happening, Ray?
So you just had Rashog on, right? Was he complaining about his travel day the other day?
No,
Not yet.
He was complaining about everything else and us being at the forefront. He was complaining about us.
Yeah.
He went on a in our group text for our podcast. He laid out his whole day, 2-hour delay, flight with weather, another hour and a half. They had to go to some other place. They had to stay overnight. So I just asked, I'm like, did you get any extra miles? And Drager asked him, could have been avoided if you would have planned better. And so he was so disappointed that nobody was supporting him.
So we took the wrath of that because, Schauger was ready to rock today, man. It was great. He was awesome. Like he was firing on all cylinders. It was amazing. And listen, he has the luxury of covering, I'd say, the two best players in the world. Like, I'm curious where you stand on that. McDavid is a foregone conclusion, but I feel like we do this every year, Ray, like with Draisaitl in particular. You know, we do our list in September, and it's like, I think I'll put McKinnon there. Justified, I get it. Or maybe I'll put Makar there. And then I get to the playoffs, and I'm like, no, Draisaitl's 2. Like, Draisaitl, I think, is number 2, and I think he probably should be.
I don't know, like, how you can easily slot any of those guys. Because when I think of it, it's not just skill and ability. It's, like they're, like the reason I think McKinnon separates himself is because he's got a little bit of the killer in him, and and Draisaitl does for sure. Like, I think it's a separating feature for him. I think I don't know that I would pick McKinnon in front of him. I don't know that I would. Like, it would be close. There's nobody, like, even a couple years ago, we were discussing, like, would you take Matthews or Draisaitl? And for me, it's not.
It's not even a conversation anymore.
It's not. It isn't anymore.
No.
Like, he is lugging around Kasperi Kapanen and Vasily Podkolzin right now.
Crazy,
as
man.
his line mates. They had 13 goals this year. And he comes back to the bench sometimes, and I can just see it, like, if you're that close, you can read a guy's face where the puck, like, hits his ankle or should be passed to him and isn't. And yet I think this is really admirable about them. Like, they're about the win this year. This is the best way to line up. They get him and McDavid together sometimes. He goes out sometimes with Hyman or Perry, and, like, they work around what their lineup is and isn't, and they just plow ahead. Like, he buries his frustration. He doesn't wear it out on his sleeve as much as he used to. I think he's an amazing player. McDavid's at another level. But
yes,
like, what he did yesterday is, like, he takes, like, a couple of breaks and turns them into like a one-way race. Anybody trying to get anywhere near him, he went around Thomas Harley like Harley had his skates on the wrong feet. It was, like, crazy how fast he was. And then he's got 2 goals yesterday, right? Like, does anyone think he's going to get through the whole series and not score? Like, no chance.
Yeah. Ray, what do you make of, this team? About a month ago, it didn't start well against the LA Kings. LA looked like they were a team to be reckoned with. I mean, they couldn't get a save. They looked disjointed. Kane was trying to settle in. Frederick couldn't skate. And you mentioned the guys who, Kapanen, I think, was a healthy stretch. It looked like a mismatch. And all of a sudden, a month later, the team looks different. What do you make of the big transformation?
I'm a little stunned, to be honest with you. Even though they had lost the 2 games on the road, and we probably all reacted because it looked so ugly, but they hadn't lost at home yet, right, to LA, except now they're going to go to Pickard in goal, and oh my gosh, what are they going to do there? How's that going to work? And then he wins 6 straight games. And the depth of their team, which was never a strength, carried them through the first 2 rounds. Like that, like, again, McDavid had 3 goals. Like, somebody had to be scoring, and Kane had 4, and Connor Brown has 4. They were, Nugent Hopkins only had a couple, though. Like, the guys that were supposed to score hadn't, but everybody else did. So I was quite surprised. But right now, they look every bit like Florida does on the other side. They look like they're just anything they need, they can dial it up. They've been outplayed in this series in 1 period, and that was the second period yesterday. where they ended up tying the period when McDavid got the late goal. Like game one, they gave up 5 goals, but they were on the power play. 3 were power play and 1 was an empty netter. Like I don't even really count that. This has been almost a dominant series for them. I mean, I know it's 2-1, but Jamie, I can't even really explain why it's so good. But there is at some point, I think we got to acknowledge, like, Knobloch knows what he's doing back there. He adjusts and changes lines and moves people in and out, and he's got courage. I mean, he's going back and forth in goal, kind of like whatever the gut feel is, and for 2 years, he's got it all right.
Ray, can you break down what you see from this Bouchard out there on the ice? He's a fascinating guy. Like the transition he made from those first couple of games in Los Angeles, where we were doing breakdowns and Hayes was just beside him. So all of us were. We were like, it's either it was a gong show, and now he looks like the guy behind him on the bench, Paul Coffey. Like, I love the guy. Like, I'm handing him the cash. I love him.
Well, okay, so even go back a little further. How many times this regular season do you watch him and you're like, does he understand? Like, he's got to get going. And the guys go right past him, and you're like, and he just kind of like waves at him, and it didn't really work that time or whatever it is. Then he does his thing in the playoffs. This is 2 years in a row where it's like he's at a completely other level. Like, how does he do that? How does he go in and out like that? He's clearly very talented, for sure. But I do think he's got a brain for the game. Like, he does. He's an excellent passer. He is McDavid and Draisaitl. I think this is really important. We all know, like, some guys, sometimes you don't want certain people on the ice because you're like they can't pass or they can't get you the puck when you need it. McDavid and Draisaitl want Bouchard on the ice with them. And so he's going to get the cash. He's going to get a big payday. There's no way around it. And I would have said he was like a stat mirage last year until the playoffs, and then he played like 24 minutes a game and had an amazing playoff, and he's done the same this year. Like, it's not false. Like, I just don't understand, like, how he's gone from so far on the outside of what would be good play to this. Like, he's a dominant player right now.
With Ray Ferraro, and you mentioned McDavid on a different level. Let me fast forward a year from now where he scores the game winner in the Four Nations face-off that turned into a much bigger and significant tournament than I think anyone thought he would. Let's say they win the Stanley Cup this year. If they do, he's probably winning the Conn Smythe. And then he mixes in a gold for Canada next year. I know that's a lot, but it's definitely feasible. This time next year, how are we looking at his legacy? Like, what could McDavid, if he gets those achievements, what does it do for him in terms of the all-time list?
Well, it just speeds up him becoming the greatest player of all time, I think. Like, I understand, you have to win to be in that, the Mount Rushmore of players. But, again, it's not if his goalie stinks, what's he going to do about it? Like, he can't do anything about that. If they didn't have, if he wins the Conn Smythe again this year and they lose in Game 7 again, if they get to the finals, like, what else is he going to do about that? So I have a tough time with the legacy stuff, because I understand why winning has to be a part of it, but it's not basketball, right? It's not like one player can impact everything about the game. We know it's different. Yet I just think I just don't think there's any way that we will look at him anywhere other than in one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah,
whether wins or losses or whatever. What you laid out, though, Brian, I think speeds along that discussion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the way I've always looked at winning in terms of these conversations is it shouldn't hurt you if you don't have it, but it should help you if you do, if that makes sense. Like, I think you should look at Gretzky and Orr and Howe and say, whoever you're competing with, and say, well, they have them, so you got to give them credit for that because they obviously factored into that. I guess what we're saying is once you get a cup, especially in this era with so many more teams, and if you get a gold medal, which he hasn't had the ability to even chase because they haven't done best on best in his career, I think it just opens the door for that. Like all of a sudden it's like, all right, well, he's done that. He's done this. He won a Conn Smythe when they didn't even win it or when they didn't even win the cup. Then you can really have that chat. It's like, is he better than Gretzky? Is he better than Lemieux? Which is pretty incredible when you think about it because that seemed like an impossibility 10 years ago. And I'm not sure we ever had that chat with Sid. Like, I don't know if we really talked about Crosby as, yes, he can legitimately pass Gretzky on that list. I don't think we did.
I don't think we did, but Crosby's a really great name to add to this discussion because all of his serial winning has just done nothing but impact his legacy along with his great play.
Right.
All of it. Back to the World Junior and the 2 cups and the Olympic gold and the golden goal and, like whatever he's been in, there's not a tournament he's been in that he hasn't won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that like is that just doesn't work like that. There's got to be something to your legacy because you can be, if you are a serial winner, which of course Sid is, but the number of points, like when we talk about Ovi's volume of goals, like the number is just like it's mind-boggling, and McDavid's going to get up into that range in the points chase somewhere along the line, because there's that thing you see in McDavid, like that internal like drive and engine, and that all those great guys have. There's lots of great players, and when you're at that level, the ones that have that extra, I don't know, they just get to these crazy numbers. And I think Connor will. I would be stunned if he's not there when it's all said and done.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, more stunning for you, Stuart Skinner's win-loss record and the actual record when he does win and when he does lose, or John Klingberg averaging almost 20 minutes a night and on a second pairing. I mean, what's more stifling for you?
Well, I'm going to say Skinner because when he now he's 4-4, but when he had 3 wins and they were all shutouts, and the 4 losses he gave up 20 goals. That's one of my favorite stats that I've seen in a long time. Like,
amazing.
How could that even be? And we had a little graph in the game about the wins and losses. It was comical to look at. So I'm going to say him, but I'd like to know who Klingberg's surgeon is, because he skates so much differently than he did just even a year ago. Or a year and a half ago. And so, to get, those are big procedures that he had done. And they were hoping that he was going to be okay for them. And he's, as you say, he's been way better than that. And just think in either game 4 or game 5, they're going to get Ekholm back.
Right.
And now they've got that much more depth. Like that, so he's playing. Him and Jake Wallman play together. They don't have to change anything.
Yeah,
really. They'll drop Kulak to Nurse, Nurse's pair, and Stetcher will probably come out, and he's done a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll put Ekholm with Bouchard because they always play together. And you're like, geez, look at that defense all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. It's rolling in Edmonton. On the other side of the bracket,
it was loud in there yesterday.
Oh, the pop! Like when McDavid scored on that 3-on-1, it was unbelievable. The pop.
I don't think the Oilers fans waited to get into the sauce for
the
1 p.m. start.
They were into the heroin beer at about noon yesterday in Alberta.
I get back to the hotel. I'm back in Vancouver. I flew home for the day, so I go back to the hotel to change, and this guy comes into the elevator, and I can see he's got a couple of wobbles to him, and then right behind him is his wife and his 2 daughters, and they're young. The kids, they're like 5 and 7, something like that. And he's like, "Hey, Ferraro!" We're in this elevator. The guy is totally lubricated, and I'm like, "Oh, the wife must be so happy, so
I love it.
at this moment."
Oh, she's probably thinking, "Well, it's a 1 p.m. start. Thank God he's going to actually take it easy here." And no
chance.
No, that's not going to happen. So it appears as if, for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Leafs pushed the eventual Cup finalists to 7 in the series in which they played them. 2019 against Boston, 21 against the Habs, 22 against Tampa, now this year against Florida. We haven't had you on since, I mean, you saw it, the debacle, the Game 7 debacle, the way they played, the aftermath. Now Shanahan's out. When you see what Florida's doing to Carolina, does it change your impression at all? Where do you stand on the Leafs a week removed from what we witnessed?
No, it doesn't change it because you can only play who you're playing, right? And like they have the unfortunate circumstance of being in the same division as those guys. And so that's just the way it is. If you say you weren't and you got through this round and you had to play them in the next round, well, that's like it's just the way it is. I mean, I think we talked enough this year. Like I thought they were a different team, a better equipped team, and maybe in some ways they were to do well in the playoffs. Unfortunately, you can't make the other guys not try. They're better. They're the best team. Like as a team, they are the best. Like do they not look? I mean, a week might tell you a different story, but right now they look unstoppable.
Mm.
Right. They're like a steamroller, and so I do think though, if you chase what other teams are, it's a race you can never win.
No.
Like if you're looking at Florida and saying we've got to change our team so we can beat Florida, well, what if you make a bunch of changes and then Florida loses next year somehow or whatever happens, and now you're playing somebody else and you're not equipped to play them? I think you just build the best team you can. You put together the most balanced team that you can possibly put together. You hope you're healthy, and you run that. Because if you're chasing somebody else, you'll never have the same players. You could get someone that looks like Barkov, that has the same number of points, the same size, but he's not Barkov, right? Like you can't replicate players. You can kind of get close to them, but if you're chasing them, I think you always lose. It's not, you can have a goal about, hey, we want to get closer to this or that in the way we structure our team, but it really does. I mean, it doesn't make me think of the Leafs any different other than they just couldn't quite. They had 2 chances. It's not Game 7. They had 2 chances really, and they fell flat on their face at home both times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Game 5, you take control again. You're up 3-2, and they didn't do that. And then we know what happened in Game 7. And I'm sure you're not surprised. You know, the Shanahan news came down. I think everyone was kind of anticipating that. But to your point, about chasing Florida, here it feels like a foregone conclusion. Marner's going to leave. It feels that way. I'm not 100% convinced that's going to happen, but it feels that way. Feels like Tavares is going to return, and yet it's now the Sam Bennett show. Maybe you got to get Ekblad. Can you bring Marchand up here? Like that's kind of what people in Toronto want to see is basically go pluck from Florida and see if you could do it again next year.
Yeah, well, maybe they could get Forsling too.
Yes, that would be great, and Bob.
Yeah, Bob. I mean, while you're working away at the thing.
Yeah.
I think this year is primed to be a late June, early July trade-a-thon, because there's not a lot of free agents that Sam Bennett's going to sit there and I think people need to remember when they're signing him to a $8, $9, $10 million contract, whatever he's going to get, and man, I'd want him on my team, but he's not a 40-goal guy. And sometimes you're best in the place that you already are. Like if Sam Bennett comes to a different team, is he going to fit the same way? Probably, but what if he doesn't? What if you're looking for something he's not really able to deliver? So there's very few centers. There's, a marginal class, I would say, of free agents. And so I think with so many teams trying to make a step, make a change, that we're primed to see some really interesting trades this summer. I think that's where the action is going to be, not so much the free agents. Of course, Bennett and Ekblad are free agents, and if they're not going back there, well, there's going to be 2 teams that are or one team if somebody can figure it all out. that would be really happy to get them. But they might not be the same players. Like, that team in Florida, to me, looks like everybody's slotted exactly where they should be.
Yeah.
Do you think?
And that's a rarity.
Do you think that could apply to Marner? In other words, he goes somewhere else, and it's not the same. I mean, he's been riding with Matthews and Tavares, and that power play stacked. You think there's a chance he looks or feels different somewhere else?
Oh, I don't see how he wouldn't. I mean, the whole circumstance, if he goes somewhere else, will be different, right? The external expectations, the familiarity wherever he goes, it won't be there, both for him and for the city that he might be in. I think a lot changes for him. It'll be really weird and really odd for him if he's in a different jersey, but there's probably, if he does decide to go that way or already has decided, whatever it is, there'll be part of it will be that it'll be pretty freeing for somebody that's that good that could make that much of a difference somewhere else.
So just piggybacking that, if Marner, we talk about Marner leaving. I remember having this argument with Steve Koulias years ago on That's Hockey Tonight, and I just wanted to apply it here. Because when Marty St. Louis left Tampa, I remember saying to him, Steven Stamkos will never get 60 again. Because Stamkos got unbelievable passes from St. Louis. How much of a trickle-down effect Marner leaving would have on Matthews' production, potentially?
Well, it depends what they fill it with, right?
Right.
Because don't forget, eventually, when Marty left, that opened the door for Kucherov.
Right.
And in that power play thing. So all of a sudden you got a pretty damn good guy giving him the puck. Like, what if you find somebody that fits there? Like, maybe he's not the same. Maybe they play a little different style. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's just a change. Like, those guys became joined at the hip. And in a lot of cases, it's hard to even imagine somebody else being there. Except it happens almost all the time to almost every player. Like, very few guys play their whole career or, with the same line mates or the same D pair. It just doesn't happen. Even Gretz was with Curry forever, and then he went to L.A. And all of a sudden, Bernie Nichols had 70 goals. Like, somebody else is going to be the beneficiary of that. If Marner goes somewhere else, I'm whoever he's going to play with is going to find the puck on his stick a lot that probably hasn't been used to getting it there. And maybe Matthews, I'd still like to know whatever was going on with him this year, because that didn't look right.
Right.
For him. Like, when I look at Matthews, I think, like, he didn't skate the same. He didn't have the same pace to his game, and the numbers weren't the same. Like, it just didn't look right. And maybe a change is best for all. Like, like a new line mate, a new look at things. Like, maybe it is best, but it's hard to walk away from 100 points. But man, eventually you don't win. And if the goal is that they're to win, which Keith Pelley said pretty clearly, that's the goal. That at some point there's got to be a change. You can't keep saying, oh, so and so didn't win for 11 years, or whatever they bring up with Yzerman, except the team completely changed around him in that time. And this, we're talking about the same core of the team. And that's, in my mind, that's different.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't four guys with Yzerman. It was just him, for the most part.
They were bad. When Steve came in, they were bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but man, they got good. They got really good. By the end, they were really, really good.
Hey, can I tell you one thing about McDavid that doesn't matter to anything that he does?
Mm-hmm.
But in Edmonton, you literally I stand on the bench.
Let me guess, he doesn't tape his stick.
No, I don't know. It's this, when the guys run on the ice, okay, like some of the guys, they run out there, everybody's excited, right? The crowd's going, the building's off, and they come out and they clunk like horses when they're running out. He comes across there like he runs. I can hear him coming. It's like he's gliding, and his feet are moving. He's still running to get out on the ice. I marvel at it every time he comes out. I'm like, even doing this, he looks different than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's astounding. And then he takes 2 laps in like 3 seconds, and you're like, oh, look at that.
Yeah. It is scary, man, to see him like running out. So he's got speed already, and then he does
really
those laps.
Fired up there, Ray. We see you right now with your hand on your hip.
Hand on the hip.
Yeah. What was going on there? Yeah, were you live at that point, or were they in commercial? Because you're just sitting
what
there.
was I doing? Was I bored?
Yeah, you got your hand on your hip, and you're just leaning up against the boards. Yeah, what is going on here?
It was right at the beginning when they were doing that, Ray, shooting out on the ice, and you were like, I better get the hell out of here.
There's no room, and my headset cable is about 2.5 feet, so there's nowhere to go. Like there's literally in Dallas, they've got one guy that closes the door, another guy that puts this safety bar there, somebody that helps that big star get up and out. So you can't. Like, I can't even stand in my place while they're doing the anthem. So the other day I'm standing on the Edmonton bench and my headset's on boards. And I said to that Olivier Rodrigue, he's standing there, I go, hey, if somebody starts talking, just pick it up and answer them.
Yeah.
And he looks at me, and he goes, what? I go, oh, yeah, just start talking. It'll be a great start to your career.
Be outstanding. That is great. Yeah, that's a special place to be, though, to watch those guys motor around, man. That is for sure. Can't beat it. All right, Ray, we'll leave it there, man. Enjoy the rest of the series. We'll do it again soon.
You betcha. This is I'm now at 4 games max, and then that's the
end of the road.
The end of ESPN's portion. So
okay.
My club's just got to the front of my garage. We are ready to go.
They are calling your name. It's just a matter of time. Enjoy it. All right, buddy.
Okay, guys. Be well. Great to talk to you.
There he is, Bye-bye. Ray Ferraro of ESPN joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4. Gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. All right. We're tracking the Jays. We've got CJ coming up, Steve Phillips later this afternoon. We're giving away tickets to the RBC Canadian Open. Tune in to find out how and when you can win those. We'll get to something to chew on as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
FanDuel held a shooting contest to promote its new MySpend tool. MySpend makes it easy to view your deposit and bet history all in one place. Because betting without knowing how much you're spending is like shooting in the dark. See the whole picture. Make FanDuel's MySpend tool part of your system and stop shooting in the dark.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
Hungry now? 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 What about now?
Oh, hungry, oh, Henry.
Being a dad and granddad means ensuring I've got all the tools to make the right choice. And now I'm in my 50s. That's more important than ever. That's why I'm choosing to look after my family, just in case.
Welcome to Senior's Choice, the #1 direct choice for Canadians over 50. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for Canadian seniors life insurance, please.
If you're a Canadian resident age 50 to 80, you can choose the right amount of coverage for you and your family up to $250,000.
That kind of money would help a lot.
You can choose to apply over the phone now in just a few minutes with no medicals or blood tests needed, only a few health and lifestyle questions.
Okay, great.
Depending on the coverage you choose, it could be as little as $17.02 a month. That's just 56 cents a day.
That's less than I thought. And that money could help cover my funeral costs, settle debts, or help my wife with retirement planning. I'll do it. Now that's done, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To get a free, no-obligation quote, call one of our trusted insurance advisors today at 1-844-808-7120 or visit seniorschoice.ca.
Dry eyes ruining the moment? Get fast relief with HydraSense eye drops. Made with a naturally sourced lubricant that works to attract and retain moisture. HydraSense eye drops.
Life is a story we get to embrace every day.
Where are we going?
Who's the driver?
There she is. The rookie who thinks she can take down the Southwest Al Capone.
Hold it.
You don't get to where Saxton is without leaving a trail of bodies.
Sax didn't kill my brother.
What if he did?
I'll kill him myself. She's a problem.
The Ottawa Charge make their maiden voyage to the finals,
What a moment.
where they'll square off with the defending champs.
Minnesota Magic in overtime. Winner takes all.
The PWHL Finals, only on TSN.
Crave has the Canadian stories you want to see, made right here.
Yeah, this is a good thing.
By Canadians.
Double overtime for the boys!
Cheers to that.
Our humor.
Spelt with a U, like it's meant to be.
Our pride.
Drag brunch can save your life.
Our champions.
We are the North, but we're here, and we're here to stay.
Crave Originals. Canadian stories only we can tell.
Let's do this for the good old red, white, and red.
Crave. Proudly Canadian. Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, this is going to sound random, but it's not. I'm concerned about Jordan Love, my boy, the quarterback for the Packers.
Oh, no.
What happened?
So I just saw this video. I sent it to Joe. Hopefully we can turn it around quickly. But it's Memorial Day down in the States, so everyone's playing, and there's games going on during the day. He threw out the ceremonial first pitch for the Brewers, and it was not a good throw.
Not a strike?
It was a
How does a
brutal
quarterback
toss.
not have a good throw?
That's what I'm saying, man. Like that, he did not have a good year last year. A lot of injuries. He took a step back. They still made the playoffs. But you got to go out there and throw heat, man. You're the quarterback of the Packers. Like, you're telling me Brett Favre would show up and just toss one? And wait till you see the video, dude. It's borderline 50 Cent. Fine.
Really?
Like, it's not as bad. 50
Dude,
had the worst.
It's impossible for a guy that throws a ball for a living to not be able to toss one into home plate.
Right. Watch this. Look at that toss. What is that? Like,
Dude,
that's...
that was like I got to lob this to make sure
he
it
lobbed
gets
it
there.
in there.
Yes, but what is he doing? Like, I guess you don't want to maybe blow your arm out or something. Like, maybe there's some concern on that. But what is that throw? Like, you're a quarterback in football, man. You got to throw. You got to hit it. You have to throw a strike if you're Jordan Love. Mandatory in a situation like that. And I think on a bell curve, if you're 50 Cent, if you're, who else is throwing bad pitches? There's been some brutal ones over the years.
Well, the what's her name?
She sings, Call Her Maybe, or Call Me Baby,
Call
or whatever.
Me Maybe.
What the
yeah,
hell's her name
one.
again?
Yeah,
I can't remember her name.
She's Canadian. I
yeah,
think,
she
too.
is. Her pitch was brutal, man. Like, it was a horrendous first pitch.
Remember how good George Bush's was? You remember George?
That was after 9/11 in New York,
Yes.
Yankee Stadium. Yes, you're right. Was that
Carly
during
Rae Jepsen?
Carly
That's her
Rae
name.
Jepsen. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Carly Rae Jepsen. Because her ceremonial first pitch was crazy. One of the funnier ones was Gary Dell'Abate, the producer for Howard Stern's show. He threw out one that was so bad. And the worst was after he threw it, he had to go in. And, of course, Stern is just waiting for him. And they did like 2 hours just destroying him. And that would happen on this show, I would think. Like, if Doogie ever went out and threw out the first pitch and it was a disaster, we would spend a week.
Why you would want to go out there and do it if you had if you couldn't even throw.
I'm not sure why you would either.
Could we do what if the Blue Jays invited us OverDrive to throw?
I don't
There's
think.
Carly Rae.
Yeah, that is particularly horrendous. Carly Rae Jepsen's throw. Roger, I don't think the Blue Jays are going to invite us anytime soon.
Obviously,
unfortunately,
because of the other
guys,
company.
we're missing the boat. The worst one is I don't know who in the hell it was, but he threw it at Fenway and went 20 yards right and hit a camera guy right in the nuts.
Yeah, right in the pills.
Who
Yeah,
was that
one.
man? That was
I don't know, but it was 20 yards right, and it hit the camera guy, and it buckled him.
Yes,
yeah, that's right.
That is maybe the best ever. I want to say it might have been a football player or something, because I think it was somebody it was somebody famous. I mean, they do the ceremony of first pitch. It's not always someone famous. Sometimes it's whoever it's going to be. But I remember that one. I feel like that was someone. Look that up, guys. Find that viz. whoever it was at Fenway, because it was particularly bad. I don't know. I'm just concerned about Jordan Love. A little bit concerned because I gotta grade you on a bell curve here. And if you're a professional athlete, you got to throw either heat or you got to hit the strike zone.
It's got to be something better than that.
It's got to be something better than what we saw in Milwaukee today. So I want to give a shout out to Tyrese Halliburton's dad. You see that he's been granted access back in the building.
What?
Yes. So they think he'll be there tomorrow night for Game 4.
I thought you said he was banned for life.
Well, he was. Originally, they said you're out. You're banned. You're not coming back. I guess they've rescinded that in Indiana in particular. I don't believe he's allowed on the road. I wouldn't suggest he shows up at the Garden in New York. I don't think that would go over well.
How embarrassing would that be if you just talk to somebody at a restaurant, you're like, my kid plays in the NBA, but I'm not allowed to go. I'm suspended for life.
That is crazy, though. That is outrageous. If you're that worked up and get suspended for life, and and now they found a way to bring him back. I don't know.
Well, they didn't find a way. I guess it's your rules. You decide to do what you're going to do, and you go with it. But I guess the Pacers have decided because Halliburton's been playing so well, and I think they're also kind of thinking, well, what if we get to the NBA Finals here and this guy is not allowed in the stadium? I mean, that's kind of tough when your superstars' dad isn't allowed to actually show up. But
he probably laid the hammer down.
I think Halliburton did. There's no guarantees he'll even show up because there's a chance Halliburton's like, you can't, you got to stay away. But I guarantee you would think he'd be on his best behavior moving forward.
Yeah.
I would certainly hope so. Anyway,
I got the King Daddy Topper here. I forgot about this. Carl Lewis had the double. Remember him with the anthem, but he also threw a ball. I remember.
Who was that? Sorry.
Carl Lewis.
Oh, yes. Carl Lewis. Yes.
That guy has had on both sides. Remember he sang the anthem, and that was a mess, too.
That was a disaster.
That was at an NBA game.
So he threw at the first pitch, too? I don't remember Carl Lewis throwing out the first pitch.
And it went south on him. I'm quite
I would be willing to guarantee that, too. And that's also equally as, unacceptable from a guy that's that great athletically. You can't have it. All right, here's your chance to win a pair of general admission any-day tickets to the tournament, the RBC Canadian Open, which, of course, is taking place next week up at TPC Toronto Osprey Valley. First caller through right now at 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050 will win the tickets and see all of the events at the course. So you come for the golf, stay for the food, drinks, and party. General admission tickets include live performances from Billy Talent and Sam Roberts Band during the SiriusXM concert series on Friday and Saturday night. Plus, you can catch First Stop, Golf Talk Canada, and us, OverDrive Broadcasting, live on site. We're going to be at the rink hole, of course, 14th hole at TPC. Visit rbccanadianopen.com to buy your tickets today. 416-870-1050. First one in, picking up a pair of tickets. We're going to give away tickets all week. But get to rbccanadianopen.com to buy tickets. It's going to be an awesome week. Forecast looks really good. Some people have been asking. I am going to be in the Pro-Am, and I'm worried because I haven't been playing much. I haven't been hitting the range, and I'm always nervous. I'm going to go out there and just slash a ball, and it's going to land in a group of people, and I'm going to have to go explain it, and then I'm the guy on TSN that hurt somebody. That's my concern. But
I want to go undercover on Sunday as one of the refs at the ref hole with just some tight shorts and a mullet.
Yes.
And a cap and some glasses, and just put on a clinic on Sunday at the rink hole.
I love it, man.
Undercover.
They get jacked up, man. You get bachelor parties there, bachelorette parties. It's a great party. And people will be fired up this year for sure. And again, it's a great field. Maybe the best field they've had in the last 20, 25 years. RBCCanadianOpen.com to get your tickets. Again, TSN will be up there all week next week. We can't wait. All right, something to chew on coming up. CJ, Steve Phillips still to come as well. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
And our minds were meant to sail. Take a rest from our thoughts. Take a break from this world. And we'll feel miles away from the places that used to be.
Sponge towels. Nothing absorbs like it.
To prove these underwear don't ride up, they don't bunch, and they stay in place all day, we're putting them to the ultimate test. 100 kilometers an hour. They didn't bunch up, they didn't ride, and they stayed in place. Incredible.
This Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has wavy edges.
It's no ordinary square. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has wavy perforations that tear so much better, with more cushiony softness. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
TaylorMade presents the QI35, the ultimate collaboration between distance and forgiveness. Get QI Fit today from TaylorMade.
Canadian chickens are raised right, without hormones or steroids. Because when you raise chickens right, you get good chicken.
Now I'm in my 50s, I'm all about making the right choices, like eating right and staying healthy. And another thing I can choose is how to look after my family if anything ever happened to me.
Welcome to Senior's Choice, the #1 direct choice for Canadians over 50. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for Canadian seniors life insurance, please.
If you're a Canadian resident, age 50 to 80, you can choose the right amount of coverage for you and your family up to $250,000.
That kind of money would help a lot.
You can choose to apply over the phone now in just minutes with no medicals or blood tests. Just a few health and lifestyle questions.
Wow, that easy.
Depending on the coverage you choose, it could be as little as $14.88 a month. That's just 49 cents a day.
That's less than I thought. And that money could help my family cover my funeral costs, support my husband's retirement planning, or even pay off loans. I'll do it.
To get a free, no-obligation quote, call one of our trusted insurance advisors today at 1-844-820-8006 or visit seniorschoice.ca.
One more time, step by step.
Place the container under it and unscrew the plug.
Oh, okay. I don't get motor oil off my face.
To get the motor oil off your face, you can simply use dish soap or another cleaner. Is there anything else you want?
The Silverado Trail Boss. And a little work. And a little play. And a truck that says no to nothing. And Chevrolet.
Lease a 2025 Silverado Custom for $198 bi-weekly. That's like $99 weekly at 3.5% for up to 24 months with $5,050 down.
And Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
They should have never given us uniforms if they didn't want us to be an army.
Water, wind, and speed. It's nation against nation.
And look how close they are!
In a global race for sailing supremacy. Sail GP New York, June 7th and 8th on TSN. Sail GP New York, June 7th and 8th on TSN. Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, something to chew on brought to you by Boston Pizza, Canada's favorite sports bar. This playoff season, Boston Pizza is planning the parade and has a new all-star playoff menu for you to enjoy. For pizza, pints, and puck drops, visit your local Boston Pizza today. We were throwing this around earlier, and we were asking people online, do you think it's now official? Stuart Skinner will start every game for the Oilers the rest of the way. Now that Pickard's back, he's likely to back up tomorrow night. Is this it? Skinner's the man. He starts. We can put that story to bed.
I think it has to be, doesn't it? Like, if they're going to finish the job, doesn't it have to be? You think they're going to go to the pick man again?
Well,
I mean, it's 6-0 in the
Pickard
playoffs,
got Wally pipped here. He got injured. Like, he should be furious. He got, like, who was it, Hurdle that fell on him?
Yeah, Hurdle fell on his knee.
Like, that would have been possibly career-changing if he stays in and keeps playing and keeps winning and they go to a cup final. And
just makes the story better, though, man.
Does it? For who? Skinner or not for
Just
Pickard?
everything, yeah. The adversity and the craziness of it, the start and how brutal they were in 2 games. And
yeah, you're right. The overall
like
story
at the
is
end,
great.
it's going to be McDavid if they win it, but it's going to be just how through it all, Pickard, Skinner, McDavid, and Draisaitl, they just said we're winning, and whoever's in net, figure it out.
And Ekholm injury, like that looked bad. Like, your number one defenseman goes down. Like, that looked That was ugly.
Guys, am I the only one that thought they were, as soon as Ekholm was down and the way they were playing, I thought they were going to get rinsed by LA. Completely rinsed.
Well, they were well on their way to that happening.
Yes, they didn't play well. That's the thing. We only talk about what's in front of us. We always say that. They did not play well the first couple games. Now, McDavid, keep in mind, he almost dragged them back to a win that first game.
Right.
But they lost with 40 seconds left on that, weird goal where Danault's jumping in front of Skinner and he slides to the left and it just – or no, it wasn't Danault. Danault shot it. It was Warren Foegele that was jumping in front of him.
Yes.
It was – you think back, that seems like that was last year. That was last month.
That's the amazing thing. It's, you start to just tracking people online and stuff. Like the World Hockey Championships are over. And that goes on for weeks, but it's done. And there were players that were playing a week ago that went over there to play, and they're already finished. And guys are well into their offseason. Forget the teams that made the playoffs. How about the teams that didn't make it? They've been done
that
forever.
Are fully into their off-season programs. Fully in.
Yes.
And you're watching teams still playing.
That's right. Showing up at 8 in the morning and being like, we have a 3-hour grind in front of us where we're working and back on the ice a couple times a week.
Yeah.
That's the truth. If you played your last game on April 15th, then it's been 6 weeks. And
that
you
is
get
the
going.
crazy thing of not making the playoffs, when you're like, okay, I guess I got to dust off the skates and start skating again. And at nighttime, you're watching a team that hasn't stopped.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and we're not even in the Cup final. We're 3 games into the conference final.
Yeah.
And
that's the crazy part.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I wonder, there's obviously a number of guys who have not dusted off their skates. I'm sure there's a few guys.
And remember where Phil got asked? He's like, I skated 5 times this summer.
That was the beauty of Phil. Kessel had He didn't do a ton of media. When he did, a lot of it was kind of short, and there was.
By the way, I think the 5 times was basically code for I haven't skated all summer.
I think that was the interpretation from a lot of people.
Yeah, at the last second, he said, "I better throw out something to make these people happy." So he said 5, but it was actually 0.
That's the thing. He was trying to, if you think you've skated 5 times, you skated once or twice.
Right.
That's you're rounding up, because you would know if you've skated 5 times. You would be able to count and go, yeah, I had a full week of skating Monday to Friday last week. He's like, yeah, I think I skated 5 times.
There's no way.
What was the quote? Was it 5 or 10?
It was
5
something.
to 10
It
times.
was something like that. And then I believe the next day he had to come back out and be like, hey, just to clarify, it was 10, I think, or more than 10. I think he really pushed, and then he was like, I make sure I'm working out. He really had to, because that blew up clearly. It was already at a point where the team wasn't very good, and Phil was making a lot of money and kind of taking heat. And it was like, what are they doing here? What is going to happen? And Phil's day one pressers, I don't know, 5 times. I guess I was on the ice. It wasn't a lot.
Some beauty day oneers. Remember the other one was Kadri's Joffrey Lupul looks great.
Oh yeah, that's when Lou was around and he was going to Robot Island, and they were like, "Are you insane? You can't say anything positive about this guy."
He said he was buzzing around in the skates in the summer.
He looks amazing out there, ready to play 82 games this year for the Maple Leafs. Man, I missed that.
Think of it over
Phil.
the years. Some of those day one, or some of those bombs that would drop, man.
Yeah,
just crazy.
Yeah,
insanity.
Different era, man. Different world, and that wasn't that long ago. But that would have been 10 years ago. Phil, about 5 times. I guess I got out there and skated. Same thing with every sport, man. Basketball, I guarantee you, there's a number of guys who played their last game in the NBA April 15th have not stepped in a gym. Have not even thought of it. Been to Europe, because everyone's tracking Luka now, right? Everything's about Luka and the contract.
Didn't someone toss out there that he's like LeBron said, "I'm locking in on you and we're together every day," or some nonsense
Yes, I'll believe that when I see it. But
Luka's in Europe enjoying himself. I don't think LeBron's riding shotgun.
That's what's amazing. And it's
LeBron went to him, guys, and said, "Look, man, go to Europe for 2 weeks and then get your ass back here, and I'll see you in the gym at 8 a.m."
I hope so. Again, I have no skin in the game. It doesn't really matter to me. But you would think you'd want to take advantage of a guy like LeBron being in your corner for a year or two and be like, just show me the way.
Yeah.
It's a lifeline that very few athletes ever get access to, and you'd be so fortunate to take advantage of it. of just, you're 40, you've done it all, you're still going. Show me how you do it. Show me how you do it. Let me get up close and personal. Please take me under your wing. Like, you know how valuable that is?
Yeah.
The LeBron under your wing routine.
Dude, I was teammates with Gary Roberts, and we both lived in Muskoka. He said, be at my boathouse at 8 a.m. every day. It's game-changing.
Yeah, it's amazing because you know he's doing it. He's not taking a time. He's not taking a day off. You know, I'm sure. How many times did you wake up praying he sent you a text saying, not today. I'm not feeling well. I'll meet you tomorrow.
There was a few times I'm sure O sent the text going, not
feeling
today.
great.
If I knew he was working, there was only in the 5 years or whatever it was, there was only one time where he like dropped something on his weight, or he dropped a weight on his foot and it just wasn't going his way, and he just threw something and said, not happening today. That was the only time, one time.
Amazing.
5 years.
Yep. That's what you'd expect out of a guy like Gary Roberts. Final hour coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 on TSN 2.
Newfoundland being an island, when something happens, we all pull together.
From the wind.
Let her go, let her go, let her go!
And salt water.
Let's do this dance, baby!
Comes a kind of courage
3, 2, 1.
you can't find anywhere else.
I'm crazy enough to do it.
You can never know when the call's going to come in.
All persons have been located and are safe.
What's amazing is a miracle.
East Harbor Heroes, new season, Tuesday, June 3rd on USA Network. Stream next day on Crave.
Sponge towels. Nothing absorbs like it.
We're in downtown Montreal, and we're going to ask people what the best gift is for Father's Day. Let's go! What's the best gift for Father's Day?
I would say socks and underwears.
Pair of boxers or some socks?
Boxers and socks.
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 Boxers and socks? Nice hat, by the way.
This year's Father's Day bundle includes 3 pairs of boxer briefs, 2 low-cut socks, and this cap, all in a man-made gift box. So visit manmadebrand.com to get your Father's Day bundle today.
100 years. It's a story written by Canadians. And at the 100 Years in Canada event, we're honoring our deep roots with employee pricing on most Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram models. You pay what we pay for Canada's most awarded SUV ever, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And you can also get employee pricing on the trail-rated and tech-savvy Jeep Compass. Because for 100 years, you didn't just ride along, you drove us.
Being a dad and granddad means making sure I've got all the tools for the job at hand so I can make the right choice. And now I'm in my 50s. Making the right choice is more important than ever. That's why I'm choosing to look after my family if anything happens to me.
Welcome to Senior's Choice, the #1 direct choice for Canadians over 50. How can I help?
Hi, I'd like a quick quote for Canadian seniors life insurance, please.
If you're a Canadian resident aged 50 to 80, you can choose the right amount of coverage for you and your family up to $250,000.
Wow. That kind of money would make a real difference.
You can choose to apply over the phone now in just a few minutes with no medicals or blood tests needed, only a few health and lifestyle questions.
Okay, great.
You're covered for the whole of your life, plus you also get a 100% advance for terminal illness.
Well, that's good to know.
Depending on the coverage you choose, it could be as little as $17.02 a month. That's just 56 cents a day.
That's less than I thought. And that money could help cover my funeral costs, settle debts, or help my wife with retirement planning. I'll do it.
As you get older, it can feel like you have less choices. At Senior's Choice, we're here to help you have a say over your loved one's future. Senior's Choice are the #1 direct choice for Canadians over 50. Choose up to $250,000 of coverage. Choose peace of mind. Choose life with Senior's Choice.
Senior's Choice has given me genuine peace of mind. And now that's done, I can get on with something much more interesting.
To get a free, no-obligation quote, call one of our trusted insurance advisors today at 1-844-887-0087 or visit seniorschoice.ca.
The Ontario Hockey League, more than just a game.
Schaefer sprung loose and he scored!
On the ice, the OHL is the #1 provider of talent to the National Hockey League, developing the game's next stars. Off the ice, giving back matters. Since 2010, OHL teams have invested over $41 million in scholarships and raised nearly $8 million annually for charities in minor hockey, shaping futures beyond the rink. Excellence on the ice, opportunity beyond it. The Ontario Hockey League, where the journey begins.
Bums. We don't tend to talk about them, but 1 in 2 of them might get hemorrhoids. Itchy, swollen pains in the behind. Sound familiar? Use Anusol Plus to soothe itching, reduce swelling, and relieve pain. And for cleansing, try Anusol Wipes.
For the first time in MasterChef history, we'll have partners in the kitchen. Mothers and daughters, best friends, husbands and wives, a divorced couple.
Leave me alone.
That can get a little complicated.
Let's see who's the best.
We have the best chemistry.
Gonna get spicy.
This is a freaking train wreck.
Just calm down.
This is better than my restaurants.
Delicious. Perfect. A definite dynamic duo. Well done.
MasterChef Dynamic Duos. All new. Wednesday at 8, 9 Mountain on CTV. Stream next day on Crave.
The rink will be rocking.
As loud as this sport can be.
As a star-studded field of golfers, led by our nation's best.
Oh, Canada.
Contend for the Canadian crown. The RBC Canadian Open on TSN and TSN+.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Don't be shy, shy, shy. La, 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 la.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to your best bets. I jammed that one up. I just tried to do that off the top of my head, and I was thinking about what I was going to say next, and I completely butchered that. There's no other way to put it. Complete butchering to start the hour.
Wow.
My apologies.
We'll have to clip that and see what that sounds like on the replay.
That was not good because I started thinking about where I was going to go next. I was going to say best bets later in the hour. We got CJ coming up, and I made an amateur move when you're broadcasting. Kids, you cannot start thinking about what's coming up next before you finish the read, and that is precisely what I just did. All right, here we go. The O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Jamie Noodles McLennan. I'm Brian Hayes. Steve Phillips later in the hour. CJ will join us. Our best bet still to come. You know what we got to ask Phillips, which is something I did not anticipate having to ask at this point. But last year we talked a lot about the White Sox and how awful they were. Historically bad. This Colorado Rockies team is worse through the same amount of games. They are 9-44.
Oh.
They have 9 wins in 53 games. They have a minus 171 run differential, and they've played not even a third of the season, or basically a third of the season. Do you know how difficult that is to be that horrendous in sports? What
hope would any fan you don't? I don't even know if you have the rebuild type hope there.
No, that's it. That is galaxies away from 500.
Light years.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you have the sense as a fan that ownership just felt they had to put people in jerseys out in the field because they had to. Do you know what I mean? It would be so embarrassing.
And they've been bad for years, man. Last year they were horrendous. The White Sox let them off the hook because Chicago was so bad in chasing, the Mets, the 1960 Mets or whatever it was, 61 Mets. But this is like the idea that record, I think the White Sox lost 122 games last year, it's almost a lock it's going to be beaten the following season.
That's disgusting.
It's actually gross.
We thought those A's teams were bad near the end in Oakland, but at least they would not do this. I mean, they weren't much better, but they wouldn't do this.
They wouldn't do this. Man, nine wins in 53 games.
It's terrible.
It's just crazy, and there's no reprieve in baseball. You have to play. You're playing today. You're going to play tomorrow, and you're playing the day after that. And buckle up, boys, because you have to play over 100 more games.
Oh.
Isn't that sickening if you're in that clubhouse?
It's sickening because it's not like, hey, man, there's only 10 games left and we got to get through this. Someone's tapping somebody on the shoulder saying, hey, don't worry, there's only a hunch left.
You got 100 left. Over a hunch.
If you're the manager, what are you saying to the owner? When the owner's calling you and going, hey, what do you unless it's an absolute
Jamie, if I'm the manager, I would go to the owner and say, maybe have a talk with the GM or what's our goal here, because you put together a product that I got to live with, and you're telling me I got to coach this.
Yeah. I mean, they just
fired
Bud Black, but it doesn't even matter. They fired him a couple of weeks ago, and the next guy's coming, and he's like, what do you think I'm doing here? Yeah. Do you think I'm turning this ship around? What could you possibly expect out of me? It's abysmal. So, Steve, on that and more a little bit later. We'll revisit my opening. We'll get that cut up. We'll play it. You guys can break it down a little bit later on. Do you have it? You have it? Is that what you just
Bringing
said?
you
everything from the opening line to your best bets. Dude, my mind.
Play that one more time. That's the worst ass stuff I've ever heard. One
My
more
brain
time.
bringing you everything from the opening line to your best bets.
Holy, that's the best. That's the best host of this show in North America.
Yeah.
And he pulled that stunt. You sounded like worse than that's Wayne's World.
Dude, that's as bad as you can get for a brain freeze. Like my brain stopped working, and I could tell you what I was doing. I was thinking about where I was going, and I
know.
I lost
But listen
track.
I want you to play it one more time. This is the best host of any show like this in North America, and he started the hour like this. Go ahead.
Bringing you everything from the opening line to your best bets.
Like the best bets was right.
You could actually see where the wires crossed.
Dude,
you were like,
I
oh,
couldn't see
no.
it. I could
Garth
hear it. I was
Algar.
like, this guy's in
Algar.
Mars right now.
I was Garth Algar. Like I was in a basement somewhere, and my head was in a vice. Oh, that's bad.
I was hoping last hour we didn't get called out. Oh, you were talking, and I was reading the comments on YouTube, and Hayes, you must have been doing it too.
Yeah.
And it just went silent.
Oh, there was
and I
dead
go,
silence.
Yeah. And Hayes, you picked up the conversation because I had no idea where we were.
My mic was off, and I was talking to the
I
guys
was
behind
thinking
the
to
screen.
myself, did we just go dark?
Yeah.
We must have went black.
Well,
This has
that's
been-
my fault because I just realized the YouTube that you guys,
Oh yeah, people are on there buzzing, man. It's
Yeah,
great.
you're just like looking at it. Okay, it's cool. We're a little bit delayed from where we are, so I'm like watching it, and then throws to us. I'm like, I have no idea what he just said.
When I said it, I'm like, I guess that was a crappy comment because I didn't even know one anything on
it might have
my
been your
fault.
greatest, but I was talking to these guys, and my mic was off.
It was me. It was
Just give me the best bets once more.
Yeah,
It's
play it
too
one more
good.
time before CJ comes. Bringing you everything from the opening line to your best bets. All right, here's Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider. CJ, you have to save us, man. You have to have your best hit of all time. Are you prepared
We've
for
been
this?
garbage today, man.
You guys sound like you're really having a Monday.
Yeah.
This is big Monday energy here.
Oh, it's bad, man. It's bad. Like the Canadian Screen Awards are this week. They're on Friday. Tell me you're out, dude. Like I'm.
Do you think you have a shot? Like, do you have a realistic?
Not
are you
after
going?
this hour. Yeah, I'll be there on Friday. I'm going. It's Duffy and Ron McLean and
But dude,
Andy
those
Petrillo.
guys, they don't need it. You need this.
That's
like,
true.
You
I
need
need
to
it.
sprinkle it. You
You're right.
sprinkle it in there.
Yeah, right. They've all won everything. They're legends. They've been legends for a long time. But anyway, my invite might be rescinded after what we've witnessed today, CJ. So we need you to save us here. And I'm curious, now that we're a week out, from the Leafs, and obviously we talked to you on Friday after the Shanahan news, and I'm seeing some Marner stuff. I'm curious. I know everyone believes he's going to market, and that's just a matter of time. But would you expect the Leafs to get that type of an answer from him? Like, are they going to demand in the next couple of weeks if they can? Like, can you give us a definitive answer that you're not only hitting the market, but that you're leaving? Would you expect them to get that answer from him?
I'm not sure if they will, to be honest. And, I think that's part of what's still interesting here. We haven't had a chance to speak to Brad Treliving. You get the sense internally in the Maple Leafs front office, everyone, the dust is still settling a little bit after the Shanahan news. And they'll soon get into those sort of types of conversations. And I'm just curious how they approach the situation in general. Do they want that kind of definitive answer? Do they try to negotiate with him? Do they have some sort of discussion with his camp about, maybe looking to move his rights if he isn't willing to sign here, because that could obviously get Marner an 8th year on his contract if they went about it that way and get the Leafs back some kind of draft pick or something like that. So, I think how they choose to go about this will be, pretty fascinating. I don't think that there's necessarily a playbook or, there's probably different approaches to that. I mean, some teams might look at it and say, okay, you don't want to be with us, goodbye, and just cut off communications. Others, might want to work with them. I don't know which tack the Leafs are going to take yet, and I'm not sure, necessarily that they do either. But I think we're all assuming it goes that way for Mitch. But there could be a chance here. There's some kind of Hail Mary. I mean, right now we just don't have a lot of answers in terms of how the Leafs are going to approach that situation. That's probably the biggest one when it comes to player personnel in the next month or so.
CJ, do you know where the asking to go to Carolina and waive the no movement? Like, do you know how frosty things got after that? Because I can't imagine it was very good.
Well, I mean, put yourself in his shoes, right? And, I'm not saying that the Leafs did anything wrong, but you could imagine that when you get to that stage, it probably isn't the best thing. And I don't know that it's sat well with the Marner side of things. But at the same time, they weren't willing to negotiate with the Leafs on the contract. And so at that stage, I think the Leafs are trying to do what's best for the organization. Big
You
picture.
could be pissed off, CJ, but what did you really expect if you're not willing to negotiate on a contract?
Right. And so, and look, he had the right to not waive it. And, to Marner's credit, it didn't affect his play on the ice, at least in the immediate term. I think he still, conducted himself in the way you'd expect, and everyone moved on from that. But I'm sure that was a bit of a fishing point and one where, it's probably stuck in his mind a little bit. But, you only get to that stage because you're not willing to engage and negotiate on the contract. I really do believe that the Leafs would have signed him to an extension in September, October, December, earlier in the season, and that never would have been something that came up in March, but it did. And, I think they, in under the light of the circumstances, I think everyone, did what they could, and Marner kept playing well for the team. But, now that we're kind of getting close to what feels like an unraveling, I'm sure we'll get a little more insight into how everyone truly felt about things like that.
CJ, do you expect any more maybe news trickling out as far as, Keith Pelly talked at his press conference, he, sit down with Chief, you get to sit down with Brad Treliving and maybe get all on the same page as to, where the direction goes. I don't know when those meetings were taking place or if they have or not, but it's more about, do you think there's any more communication from the organization, or do you think they go dark here until they start to make some moves?
No, I think that's where we're at right now in this time and place. Keith Pelly had dinner last night with Brad Treliving, and now they're kind of into the first week, post Shanahan, essentially business week. And I think a lot of that is about gaining a comfort with each other, figuring out how the communication's going to work, how, really just how everyone feels comfortable operating the front office. I know it's only one person gone from the operation at this point, but it's a pretty significant figure and someone who I think set the tone in some ways for how things worked in the Maple Leafs offices. So, I think that's what's happening now, Noodles. And, we've been sort of told to expect that Brad Treliving will, address the media at some point here in the near future. And, once that happens, obviously he'll get a full gamut of questions about his approaches to the roster, about Marner, about potential ways he might spend that money if Marner's gone. But I think also notably will be how he sees the front office taking shape moving forward, because that is, I think, a pretty significant thing for them to work out, and I do believe they're just in the early stages of kind of determining how everything's going to work.
With Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider. So TSN has revealed their top 50 NHL free agent list. Mitch Marner at the top of that. Sam Bennett, number 2. Tavares 3, Nikolai Ehlers 4, Brock Besser 5. Other names that are on the list are Aaron Ekblad, Brad Marchand. I mean, there's a bunch of guys that are still playing. But, how would you define this crop compared to other years? And if you take away Marner, I guess, if he decides he's not returning to Toronto, then obviously he's not a part of this program. Like, how much work do you think Treliving and company can do via free agency, and how much might they actually have to do via trade if it gets to that point?
Well, I mean, they're going to have to get creative. That's kind of my initial take on things here. And look, I think, put Marner aside just for a moment, and we do expect, he's probably out of the picture here. The Leafs are going to need 2 centermen, I think, behind Austin Matthews. And, it just might be one of those is John Tavares, and there you go, one ready-made solution. But when you look at that board, I mean, once you get past Sam Bennett, it's not too long before you're into like P.S. Suter territory. And I say that with respect to P.S. Suter, had a pretty good year in Vancouver, but wouldn't be what anyone would sort of circle and say that's the kind of guy you want playing second line center for a team trying to win the Stanley Cup. And so, I think the Leafs are going to have to get creative in how they do it, and maybe the trade route does offer some solutions. I mean, certainly, I think that this is poised to be a year where there's a lot of teams with cap space and needs, and once you get past the first, say, 10 names on that list, I mean, it goes south in a hurry. And it's not to say they're all bad players, but I think you stop getting out of the idea that they can be, a lot of difference makers in free agency. And so I think the trade market should be pretty ample this year. The one concern I'd have from the Leafs end of things when it comes to trade specifically is just what they have to trade. I mean, obviously they've dealt away a lot of draft capital with their deadline deals the last number of years. They're sort of go-for-it deals. Maybe there's some pieces within the organization, younger players and the like, that they can use, but I don't think they have as much maybe to get in the trade conversations as some other teams. So, it's not a certain sign of doom. I do think that there's some intriguing players that could help the Leafs be a, very competitive team again next year if they have to patch all those holes and Marner does leave. But, it sets up as a pretty big 5 weeks here leading into July 1st to make sure they're well positioned to handle all the moving parts that'll come with that.
CJ, you just discussed John Tavares, and it seems like that is basically going to happen. And you mentioned the word creativity. Bringing him back just doesn't seem like it's that creative. Where you just said the words like you need a second-line centerman. Well, there's John Tavares sitting right there. Don't you want to look into a different option? They haven't won with him, so why would it be a need or a necessity to bring him back into the fold? I really don't understand it.
I feel like you and I have this out every time I do a hit, O-Dog, but this is what I see. I see a guy who wants to be here, who scored 38 goals this year, 74
I want to
points.
do a lot of stuff too, Chris. I want to do a lot of stuff too that some people say you're not doing it.
Well, who's your solution, though? I mean, at the end of the day, we have to deal with what's in front of us. Like, I'm not convinced Sam Bennett even becomes a free agent. Even if he does, do you want to be paying him the money he's going to be worth? I mean, I just don't know where you find the other players to fill this void. And you have, a player who's still extremely productive sitting right here on the roster who wants to play for your team. I mean, to me, that's a tough thing to pass up. And we'll see what the Leafs do. I mean, I'm not in charge of the team. I just think it's the most obvious and sort of easy next step among all the decisions they have to make.
Well, to jump in here, I think what O's saying, and I don't disagree. Like, if John Tavares wants to come back and the contract looks very affordable, because, again, we can have this argument until we're blue in the face, but if Tavares comes back on a very value contract, then you go, okay, we don't have to replace 38 goals or maybe 30 goals, you call it. But if from O's standpoint, if you're looking at it and just looking for a different type of player, a different face, Matt Duchene's the same age, and maybe you can get a guy like Duchene or somebody a comparable like that.
I'm thinking outside the box, Jamie. Like, I don't know if you can pick Nazem Kadri out of Calgary. I don't know what their plans are with that organ. I'm talking about something like that.
Well, I agree with you, and I'll let CJ weigh in as well. But it's. I think you need more down the middle of the ice, like not just replacing John Tavares as a 2. Like, if Tavares comes back, he might end up being your 3. You might have to go for Tavares and Kadri and somebody else, or somebody else if you can't get it in a trade. Like, to me, I think Tree has to be creative because, to be honest, Max Domi makes almost $4 million. I didn't think he was very productive this year overall. I mean, you might be looking to move away from players like that as well.
Definitely wasn't a great season for Max. And, I just think you need a better option than him as your third center. And let's face it, I mean, even if they bring Tavares back, and we'll see where the price point lands, I mean, maybe he's basically the third center, and what you're trying to do is upgrade at the 2C spot with someone from the outside.
Right.
That's why it's not going to be – there's not, 12 things at the store here you can go buy if you're Brad Treliving. I think that's why – you're right. I mean, maybe trade is the solution. I don't know what you're trading. I think at this point you have to be careful trading some of the younger players. I mean, Easton Cowan's playing right now in the Memorial Cup Finals there this week. I mean, do you want him in a deal? I mean, obviously that's something other teams would value. It's the Leafs are at that tough spot of contention windows where they've just they don't have a ton in the cupboard right now, and they still have to try to find ways to get better, which is no excuse. Other teams do it. The Floridas have done it. They saw 7 guys walk out the door last year 2 days after they won the Stanley Cup, and they still found ways to fill in their roster and have a really deep team today. So, this is where the scouts and the front office makes its money, and this is the time that the Leafs have to uncover some gems. Maybe it won't be obvious players at first, but they find some guys that fit in with what they're trying to do that can have better seasons next year than they've had in the past.
Yeah, that's a big part of it as well. Like, it's not just amateur scouting. You're pro scouting. You got to find players that, quite frankly, and every team is guilty of, they have let go.
Yeah, find a Marchessault, find a Verhaeghe, find something.
Well, they had Verhaeghe, they had Marchman, and they decided they're not going to fit. And they're not alone. That happens with every team. But, this, again, you can't go back and find and pluck them now. But at one point, Verhaeghe was there for basically anything. Mason Marchman was there for Gino Malgin.
Right.
You got it. Those are trades, the Jose Bautista types, where at the time you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, whatever. Then all of a sudden he turns into a player. Like, you got to do it, man. You got to.
Gino Malgin one, boy. I'll take that one to the.
That one was tough.
He was playing last night on World Championship.
The kicker, though, guys, and I'll say it again, not once. Twice.
Yeah.
He came back, Gino Malgin.
Europe.
He came back.
The second time was from Europe.
Yeah, and the second time in training camp, he was dancing out there, and everyone was like, I told you about that Gino
Malgin, man.
And then sure as you know what, like 10 days later, it was like, guy can't play.
Yeah.
You know his name is Dennis.
Yes.
I don't
Dennis
care.
I
Malgin.
forgot his
Gino
name
Malgin.
was Dennis.
Yeah.
I just Googled Gino Malgin, and I'm like, oh, it's Dennis. I forgot.
I called him Gino Malgin from the day I put eyes on him, and I love it.
Yeah. Well, we got to find the next Gino Malgin up here. That's the role of Brad Treliving here. Well, CJ, what do you make? It just feels like it's Florida-Edmonton will meet in the Cup final, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely getting those vibes again. I mean, certainly Florida's not there's no risk in making that pick at this point, the way they've been rolling through the Hurricanes and even the end of the Leafs series. And, Edmonton's got something. I mean, I think it'll be an interesting final. If there's one of the teams remaining, I do believe Edmonton can give Florida a bit of a run for its money. But let's face it, I mean, the Panthers, I'm sure, are going to be favored, whoever they play, just with, winning 7 of their last 8 and got a chance to sweep the Eastern Conference final. Maybe the biggest thing standing in their way is the 12-day wait that they're going to have for the start of the Cup final if they end up finishing that series off tonight.
Well, that's a very good point. Like, they win tonight and Dallas gets back in that series, which they definitely could.
Yeah.
And that goes 6 or 7. Florida's going to be sitting there for 10 days before they play another game, if not more than that.
Yeah, it's set for June 7th, I'm pretty sure, at the start of the Cup final. So it's 12 days if they win tonight.
Wow. That is a long layoff. But that's probably why, like, Reinhart he probably isn't capable of playing. He didn't play the other day. But why even force him to play? Like, just say, we'll see you in a Cup final, man. Like, we'll take it from here. Let Reinhart sit. Let Mikkola sit. Greer, exactly. Like, what a luxury to have. You're in the conference final, and you can load manage to a certain extent.
No, Hayes. It's in the conference final, and you're telling guys, no rush.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll see you in a Cup final. Be ready for June 7th. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's the dream. I mean, they have 10 players between 10 and 15 points. Like, it's nuts how balanced Florida's been this playoffs.
Yeah, that is a great point. I saw your tweet earlier. Like that, there's just no ability to breathe. Like, whoever they put over the boards, you're on your heels, or you're ready for a fight. You better be ready for a fight. Crazy. All right, CJ, you saved us, man. That was great. We needed that. We needed some help, and you supplied it for us. Thank you for this.
Love it, guys. Well, good luck with the rest of your hour here. You're almost to 7 p.m.
We'll try our best. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's Chris Johnston, our TSN Hockey Insider.
Yeah, and I have to let everybody know, I have nothing at all against John Tavares. He's been a great soldier. He's been very productive, but he's a massive part of the lack of success. And I just don't understand. I'm doing as much as I can different with the money available than anything the same.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, I remember Ken Holland saying this in an interview that we were all kind of sitting around listening to him talk. And the way he liked to build his teams is he looked at, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, and what their production. If he wanted to have 250 goals that year or whatever, like, okay, what players could bring. So if you're Brad Treliving, if you realistically, Tavares had an unbelievable year at 38 goals, but let's just say you would, if you thought you were going to sign him at a value contract, do you think that he could get 30 next year?
I don't care about the 30.
No,
Obviously, they would be helpful. I'm worried about games 4, 5, 6, and 7 against the Florida Panthers is what I'm worried about.
I 100% understand, but you have to make the playoffs. So what I'm saying is you're going to have to replace, let's call it 30 goals with somebody. So you're right. You threw out names. I threw out names, Kadri or Duchesne or whoever, somebody to trade throughout the league. They have to, the combination that you signed John Tavares has to give you some type of those goals to make it up for. Yeah. And keep in mind, Marner's on the right side. That's 100 points. It might be a combination of many players to make up those 100 points, but your team is going to be differently constructed to have success potentially in the playoffs because it'll look different. The balance is different. You're not wrong. I'm just saying, as a manager, I remember thinking Ken Holland, saying that as to he's got to make up some of those goals. And I guarantee you, Brad Treliving's going, I've got 100 points walking out the door. And yes, I've got 11.
To refill it, Jamie, I'll just say this, and I'll put it to rest because I don't want to talk about it anymore. The rest of we got a month left. It would be as different looking as possible after 9 straight years of what we've seen.
So
different as possible.
Different as possible, but to meet you guys in the middle, you got to get the right guys.
No kidding.
You can't, and this is why a lot of GMs don't have the stomach for it because it's tough and there's no guarantees, and that's where you get issues. Like you can use the baseball team as an example where they were like, we had too many home runs. We got to do something different. We don't win. Teoscar Hernandez, you're out. Eric Swanson coming in. Brutal trade. Horrendous trade. But at the time, it was like, we need some help in the bullpen. We need run prevention. We're going to score. They're laughing too much in the bullpen or in the dugout. Like, this is the thing. Like, you had to make that move for someone else or for someone better, or maybe you had to keep that guy. And, like, Marner's going to make his decision, and I think they need change. And after 9 years, that feels obvious. But the reason they may not end up doing it is because they say, I have no idea how to fulfill the production. And we don't have the stomach to even go out there and try it because you look at the top 50 list on tsn.ca, and after the first few guys, you're like, do you want to replace Mitch Marner with Brock Besser? I don't know if that's the answer. You know, and that's the thing. It's just going to take some courage. It's going to take some time, some creativity, but it's your job, if you're Brad Treliving, to do it and to get it done properly and to sell it and all that good stuff.
I agree. I just don't think you're not going to replace Mitch Marner with one player.
No, that's never happening.
A combination of a couple different players that add up to 100 points. That if it's Besser, it would have to be Besser and somebody else to fulfill what Marner brings to the table. But your team might have more depth where you're not just relying on 3 or 4 guys to pull you through. That's really what you're looking at.
Well, and that's the question. Also, it's not like the league ends after next season. You know, like this is if you're not giving Marner 8 years, then you got 8 years where you got to fill that. You can't wait forever, but it doesn't have to be this year. It could be at the trade deadline next year. It could be the year after that. Over the next couple of years, you've got to start bringing some younger talent in. You have to. You got to do what we just talked about, pro scouting. Find a couple of guys who are on waivers that turn into players, or the other team just is done with them. Find them, bring them in. That's difficult, but that's a big part of the sport, man, and team building. You got to find the guys where the other team's like, nah, we tried it for a few years, we don't like it.
It's all on different levels. Free agency, drafting, like college guys, undrafted junior kids, like scrap heap, all of it, man.
Yes,
all of it.
You've got
buyouts.
All of it has to be, and that's where we talk about resources. The Leafs, there's no excuse for them not having it.
Yeah,
it should all be available to them. All right, best bets coming up later in the hour, powered by FanDuel.
Atta baby.
Steve Phillips will join us as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Jump, 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 jump. Jump, 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 jump.
Ranked #1 in client satisfaction among mid-sized banks 13 years in a row. Tangerine, that's forward banking.
You founded your kayak company because you love the ocean, not spreadsheets. you need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, candidates can find it easier, so you can hire easier. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Balderson has been masterfully aging our delicious cheese with the same time and care for over 140 years. So we wondered if anything else from back then had aged as well as us. It turns out that nothing ages as well as Balderson's Canadian craftsmanship.
If stuff like this just isn't working for you, then it might be time to consider discussing additional weight loss treatment plans from Phoenix.ca. I'm so hot. It's so hot.
The Mix and Match event is on now at Sleep Country because one bedroom can still mean two sleep styles. It's time to get mixing and matching with sleep essentials to suit everybody's needs. The Mix and Match event is on now, only at Sleep Country.
Don't let lunch be a letdown. Go get that fresh deal. Like Subway 6-inch Italian BMT or sweet onion chicken teriyaki on fresh baked bread for just $5.99. Subway makes it fresh like that.
I was Alex's favorite top. The top of tops. But then she started living it up with Virgin Plus. With its affordable phone plans and member benefit discounts on fashion, travel, and entertainment. Now she's got dozens of favorite tops. Dozens! Leaving me hanging high and dry. Oh, I still smell like her.
Affordable phone plans, plus so much more. Virgin Plus, obviously.
The Ontario Hockey League, more than just a game.
Schaefer sprung loose and he scored!
On the ice, the OHL is the #1 provider of talent to the National Hockey League, developing the game's next stars. Off the ice, giving back matters. Since 2010, OHL teams have invested over $41 million in scholarships and raised nearly $8 million annually for charities in minor hockey, shaping futures beyond the rink. Excellence on the ice, opportunity beyond it. The Ontario Hockey League, where the journey begins.
100 years. It's a story written by Canadians. And at the 100 Years in Canada event, we're honoring our deep roots with employee pricing on most Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram models. You pay what we pay for Canada's most awarded SUV ever, the 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And you can also get employee pricing for the 2025 Jeep Wrangler, the most capable Wrangler ever. Because for 100 years, you didn't just ride along, you drove us.
Sponge towels. Nothing absorbs like it.
Okay, I need a bit of help, Gemini.
No problem. You could try using mayonnaise instead.
What about Greek yogurt?
If you don't have mayonnaise, then yeah, Greek yogurt is a great choice. The texture is similar, but you might want to add a little extra salt and pepper.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, we'll get to our best bets on the hockey game tonight. The Memorial Cup continuing as well out in Rimouski up on TSN. And you got Medicine Hat against Moncton tonight.
Great job by all out there, by the way.
Crushing it. Yeah. Crushing it. I love Frankie Corrado's doing his interviews in the jumpsuit. He's got the, you see Frankie out there, and he's got the full-blown hockey tournament gear when you're 12 years old. And it's awesome. It looks elite. Yeah. They're all on the ice. Reagan Subban, she's out there skating around, doing interviews during the game. It's incredible.
Innovative stuff.
The whole crew.
I love all of it. The whole crew's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, they're doing an amazing job. And London won last night. Easton Cowan had a couple of points, and he's looked good. The Knights look good. It's going to be a great Memorial Cup. And, we'll get to that a little bit later in the hour. Best bet still to come. The Jays have wrapped up their afternoon game down in Texas. Man, they needed this one. They pick up a 2-1 win after getting swept down in Tampa. And the bats were not exactly firing on all cylinders, but Gausman was phenomenal again today. And that's back-to-back really, really quality starts for him. His numbers are really solid. And he needed that. He had a bit of a roller coaster year last year.
Yeah.
And Gosman's been really good this year, and he was great today. And I think most importantly, Hoffman went out there and got the save in the ninth because he has really had some issues the last few weeks. Here's Steve Phillips, our TSN baseball insider. There's Gosman doing it again, Steve. I mean, last year we talked with you a lot about it. There were ups and downs, and the bats are inconsistent with the Jays. They weren't exactly great today, but Gosman was phenomenal, and there's a lot of stress on this starting rotation, but he appears to be ready to go.
Oh, yeah, he threw the ball very well. I mean, absolutely awesome. And I think for Hoffman, too, an important bounce-back save for him, right? The indicator of a good closer isn't can you save a game. It's what do you do after you blow a save or two and to be able to get back on track again. And so he was able to do that. Didn't get any swing and miss, but was able to get the job done. But, this is sometimes not who you play, it's when you play them. And the Rangers have been awful this year. So disappointing the way they're performing. And this is an offense that had a chance, I thought, like a couple of years ago, to lead the league in runs scored. I mean, they have so many good hitters. I know Seager's on the injured list. It isn't quite right, and Adolis Garcia has not been very good this year. But, this was an offense that picked up Jake Berger to play first base, and he was going to hit. And they sent him to the minor leagues for a little bit of time, and now he's back. Marcus Semien looks horrible at the plate this year. And so, listen, it's you take a win when you can get it, but this just happens to be a Rangers team that's playing worse than the Blue Jays are.
So, Steve, where are you at with the Blue Jays? I mean, it's they've been up and down. They got to 500. Now I think they're a game below it now with the win today. I mean, do you see a surge, or do you feel like they're just kind of hover around their record right now?
They've got the starting pitching that could, you could think you could get a winning streak out of it because the starting pitching, is with some pretty good names and some good pitchers, but we've not seen a winning streak out of them for a couple of years now. Like, it's just they never seem to get traction. It's this back and forth in level of mediocrity that they've never been able to get over the hump the last couple of years. And so, you think it's in there, but until they go out there and get it done and start to produce, it feels like it's a lot of mediocrity right now. And yet, we see that throughout the American League East other than the Yankees. Everybody else, is except the Orioles, but you like the Red Sox and the Blue Jays and the Rays are all right there, right around 500. They all beat each other up. They all lose to each other. And so there just doesn't seem to be any traction where they get things going. They get some momentum where, Vladdy's hot, Bichette's hot, Santander's rolling, the pitching's good, where, you can rattle off 10, 11 in a row. And we've seen the Twins do that. The Tigers are playing extraordinarily consistent baseball because their hitting is always good enough. Their pitching is always good enough, and they defend. And so, for the Jays, it's in there, but, we've not seen it for a couple of years. And so, I'm not building an expectation that they're going to go on a run.
Well, something we have literally never seen before took place today. Jacob deGrom has made 229 starts over the course of his 12-year MLB career. Today's outing against the Jays, first time he has failed to record a strikeout. First time in his career, and it happened today. And he went 5 1/3. That's incredible, Steve.
Yeah, it is incredible.
That is amazing.
And, it is. And it's even amazing today because, he didn't have his best stuff, but he was, you would have thought he would have gotten more swing and miss. And listen, this, he was still effective overall, just they were able to put the ball in play. And, some credit goes to the Jays for that, for avoiding the swing and miss. But, it's so interesting for DeGrom. Like, he's on pace to be considered in the race for the Cy Young Award in the American League this year. He's thrown the ball very well. And if he were to win his third Cy Young Award, then it comes down to, is he a Hall of Famer? And yet, if you look at the numbers, I think he has 88 wins to his name in his career. That's all. Mm-hmm. Only 88 wins. We're talking about, with Verlander and Kershaw and Scherzer, they're all in the 240, 250, 230 range. Wins, 88 wins for DeGrom because he's had, I think, 48 starts in his career, 47 starts where he has gone 7 innings or more, given up 2 innings or less, 2 runs or less, and not gotten a win, tied with Scherzer for the most since 2014. And so, he always seems to pitch well, but they never seem to hit when he's on the mound.
Well, one guy that does hit and one guy that could soon to be on the mound is Shohei Ohtani, and he just hit a first pitch home run in Cleveland like 10 minutes ago. So the Dodgers are off to a good start. Shohei, first pitch of the game, he absolutely torched it to right field. But the reports were out that he's starting to really ramp up his arm, and we're a couple of years removed now from his last official start as a major leaguer. Where do you see this one going? And considering how he continues to play it, in terms of his bat and in terms of whatever else he's bringing to the table with the Dodgers, is this a gamble at all in your opinion? And what would you expect to see him, from him once he does get back on the mound?
Yeah, for me, I personally would just make him a hitter. I wouldn't make him a pitcher. What we saw is that he has now been the most protected pitcher. He pitches once a week. They get him out, when there's a lead. And yet he broke down twice and had Tommy John twice. And so I look at the investment being made and think, hey, he's a pretty good pitcher when he's in. I mean, he is. He's a good pitcher when he's in there. But if he's going to break down and he could miss potentially, even if it's hitting-wise, half a year, depending upon another third Tommy John surgery, because if he's been the most protected pitcher and broke down twice, then what do we do? And, and I personally think that the last time he was a two-way player, his body was rejecting it. Remember, it was down the stretch with the Angels, and they decided not to trade him at the deadline. They kept him. He started the game with Detroit, where he threw a shutout in the first game, hit 2 home runs in the second game, but started cramping. And from that point on, had cramps everywhere, forearms, shoulders, legs, and then he ended up needing Tommy John surgery. I get that nobody can do what he's done, and he'll be able to do it to some degree again, but at what risk for potential missing time in the future? So, I only make him a hitter, just let him go out there and dominate offensively. Even if I put him in the outfield, I think he can certainly play the outfield. He'd be just fine there. And you don't have to DH him all the time. But I would capitalize on the bat, and I'd forget about the arm.
Steve, Ohtani, Dodgers, real competitive organization, tons of money. On the other hand of that, Hazy B, my guy here, was bringing up the Rockies and what they're bringing to the table. Do you have any explanation to how they put that on the field? Is that just try to be as bad as you can, or what?
Yeah, I honestly don't even know what their plan is, because it doesn't feel like a rebuild. That they just don't seem to try, and they don't go sign veteran middle relievers so that when your young starters get a chance to win a game, maybe you can score a point, get them a win, and they don't get any veteran hitters to join their young hitters there. They've not drafted well. And their hitters don't seem to anymore gain the benefit of playing at Coors Field, but the opposition still seems to have it. And so, first of all, it's really hard to figure out what's the right formula to win in Colorado because of the size of the outfield, because the fences are so deep, but also because the ball travels so far in the light air. And then with your breaking pitches as a pitcher, the ball doesn't break as much. And so it's really hard to figure out what type of player do you put together there? I mean, I have thoughts on what it would take, but, it's not rocket science. I mean, everybody has sort of tried along the way. Free agent pitchers don't want to go there because, if it's a one-year reclamation project, they're going to get roasted pitching in Colorado. Hitters, you think, would want to go there, but they can't seem to get anybody go because there's always somebody better with a better chance to win that has interest in that hitter. So they've got to start trying. I don't think they try in free agency. They don't sign anybody. They don't pursue anyone. And so, I don't know. I don't quite understand the plan. I don't understand the methods. I don't understand the roster. And yet they don't seem to make changes. They changed the manager, but it wasn't Bud Black's fault. They just don't have a very good roster right now.
Well, and they lost again today. So there's another one. They're 9-45 now.
Oof.
9-45. The Cubs
hard
beat
to do,
them.
man.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is.
Here's the thing: as much as I look at it, I think, geez, how do you lose 45 games? I'm wondering how they won 9.
Right.
Really, that's the more amazing number when I look at them. How did you win 9 games? They beat the Yankees the other day.
They beat the Yankees on Friday. Yeah, they beat the Yankees.
It's crazy.
Yankee fans are freaking out naturally. Like, that's how bad it is. If your team loses to them, it's such an indictment of you and your whole operation. It's supposed to be mandatory win night. And, you know, they are clearly the worst team in the league, but you look at the National League, you know, we were talking about this earlier, like the Pirates, it's basically Paul Skeens and then the rest of the team, effectively, in terms of the way, you know, baseball and the sports world kind of looks at it. And Skeens looks like he's bent out of shape. Every time I hear him, he gets no run production. We're just talking about DeGrom, and DeGrom had it bad clearly at times with the Mets, and now he's doing it with the Rangers. Skeens, they don't offer him anything. Like nothing. He's got to be perfect every single time out.
He's going to say check, please, Hayes.
Yeah, well, that's the question. Sure. Like team control through 29, I believe it is, Steve. And you can't get rid of him. You can't move off him because he's your whole team. But at what point might he look at the Pirates and say, sure, we're not the Rockies, but we're not far from it. And what is going to happen here?
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll hold him. They'll try to sign him. He won't sign. And at some point, they'll trade him. Now, it won't be now. I mean, whatever they could get now, they'll get 2 years from now. They'll get 3 years from now. So you might as well hold him during the affordable years, get one out of him what you can. You know, people do show up more at the gate when he does pitch and get the benefit of that. But, yeah, it's unfortunate, right, that, you know, they don't invest in offense ever, and they don't develop it. They don't draft it well. They don't sign and develop the offensive players well. They have O'Neal Cruz and they have Brian Reynolds, and really beyond that, there's not much threat in the lineup for them. And you know, and then with the pitching, I mean, they had Jarrett Jones, they lost him to Tommy John surgery. They've Bubba Chandler's another young pitching prospect they have coming up. Like you thought, I looked at them and thought you got a shot of if you add some offense, you've got enough pitching that if you pitch well and score enough, you got a chance to compete for a wild card spot. But they never add the bats that they need. And ownership there just keeps collecting the revenue sharing money and the competitive balance tax money, and they don't ever reinvest it into the team. I think they've got an $88 million payroll, and I think there's a few teams less than them, but almost everybody else spends more money on player personnel than they do.
Well, we'll see what old Paul Skeens has in store for us the rest of the way. It always could be worse. You could be the Colorado Rockies. And for that, I'm sure they will look upon that positively down in Pittsburgh. Great stuff, Steve. As always, thank you for doing this. We'll do it again soon.
Anytime, guys. My pleasure. Have a good night.
You too. There's Steve Phillips, our TSN Baseball Insider. Again, the Jays winning 2-1 this afternoon down in Texas. Needed that after yesterday, man.
Yeah.
Like, Schneider was not happy, nor should he have been, the way things played out yesterday in Tampa. And the Rangers, again, they've been struggling. And like Steve said, they got him at the right time. Varsho, again, another home run today. Like, he obviously didn't start the season on time, starting on the IL. But since he's been back, man, he's been mashing. Like, you know what you're getting defensively, best in the business, and he's hitting for power. And
well, there's one guy who's got to get hitting. He's got 7 home runs.
Talking about Vladdy, the big guy?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, Vladdy, it would be nice to see him not go through a stretch like this ever.
And Hazy,
but
like you're talking about the Colorado Rockies and Skeens and the Pirates. I always talk about the NHL, how it's a watered-down product, too many teams, too many players. Like, all the sports. Like, why the hell should Pittsburgh have a team if they're going to be doing that? What is their existence? Like, there's too many teams. Look at how many garbage teams there are. Why are they in existence if you're not going to reinvest the money? You're just sitting there stealing from other teams, and you're sitting there on your ass. It's embarrassing, man.
Well, that's it, man. With revenue sharing, there are teams that lose and are awful and no one shows up, and they still make money because the money gets spread out.
Does not make sense, man.
Yeah. It's anti-competitive is what it is. And like, the Pirates have been around forever, clearly. It's a great sports town, but they have not been a relevant baseball team since Barry Bonds was on their team. Like, I honestly, it's like 30 years. When was the last time the Pirates were a team that was creating buzz? They've had players that would create buzz, but the Pirates, the Rockies, they've had some runs over the years, clearly, but like, it's brutal, man. White Sox,
it's embarrassing.
It's terrible.
It's like, what are you in existence for? Like, water it down and only have teams that have to have good players on it.
Well, that's what it is. It's filling out a schedule, man. You got 30 teams and everyone plays, and that's the situation we find ourselves in. All right, Best Bets coming up, powered by FanDuel. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
How can I just let you walk away? Just let you leave with
This spring at Canadian Tire, you'll find over 1,000 deals each week, up to 40% off. So while it's not always easy, we've gotten used to goodbyes. Discover this week's deals online or in the flyer.
And our minds were meant to sail. Take a rest from my thoughts, take a break from this world, and we'll get miles away from the places that leads me.
Tired of looking tired? Hydra Energetic Face and Eye Care by L'Oreal Men Expert. With vitamin C and protein, reduces the signs of fatigue. Skin is hydrated, looks energized and refreshed. Suitable for sensitive skin. Hydra Energetic Routine by L'Oreal Men Expert.
The Ontario Hockey League, more than just a game.
Schaefer sprung loose and he scored!
On the ice, the OHL is the #1 provider of talent to the National Hockey League, developing the game's next stars. Off the ice, giving back matters. Since 2010, OHL teams have invested over $41 million in scholarships and raised nearly $8 million annually for charities in minor hockey, shaping futures beyond the rink. Excellence on the ice, opportunity beyond it. The Ontario Hockey League, where the journey begins.
TaylorMade presents the QI35. The ultimate collaboration between distance and forgiveness. Designed to unlock TaylorMade speed and QI forgiveness. For more distance from more of the face. Get QI Fit today from TaylorMade.
Jump, 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 jump. Jump, jump, jump. Jump, 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 jump. Jump, jump.
Ranked #1 in client satisfaction among mid-sized banks 13 years in a row. Tangerine, that's forward banking.
The Silverado Trail Boss. And a little work. And a little play. And a truck that says no to nothing. And Chevrolet.
Truck Month is on now at Chevrolet. Get 0% financing for up to 72 months on select 2025 Silverado models, or visit your dealer for lease offers.
And Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hiding muscle and joint pain behind a smile? Voltaren can help. Voltaren contains a clinically proven anti-inflammatory that penetrates deep to relieve your pain and reduce inflammation. Voltaren, the joy of movement.
At Little Caesars, grab 2 classic pepperoni or cheese pizzas for only $15, and you'll be the champion of mealtime. 2 great pizzas, 1 low price. 2 for $15, medium classics for a limited time only. Hot and ready.
Perfectly smoked. Canadian crafted. Irresistible Schneider's hot dogs can only mean one thing. It's knee table season. Sure, it's a little awkward. And sometimes tricky. But when it's Schneider's, it's oh so worth it.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Panthers money line, Sam Bennett, 1+ points tonight. Bennett, he just seems to do it every single night, and I just don't see Carolina getting up off the mat. It's in Florida.
Even with the injuries, whoever steps in and replaces them will somehow find a game.
Yeah, or Bob
not
will
just
stand
that
on his head.
Or score, or do something like it's
contribute.
crazy.
You're not just coming in to say, oh, you're there to contribute and play good.
Yeah, and I fully anticipate that'll happen tonight. That paying about +120. Today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every Stanley Cup playoff game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario. All right. Well, we got the Memorial Cup tonight. We got OKC playing Mini tonight, Game 4 of the Western Final. You got the Eastern Final possibly wrapping up in the NHL. And the Jays in action tomorrow after a big win today. So,
what would your mini Jerry say that Florida's wrapping it up? Is it the highest you've ever had?
72%.
Really?
I feel very good about them winning tonight. It's not 100%.
85.
It's not a guarantee, but
Freddie's back in the net. Might get a game from him.
There you go, Freddie boy. Why not?
I know.
Why not?
I love poor Roddy's got to answer that. It's like, you're going back to Freddie, huh? And he's like, what he really wants to say is, well, yeah, the other guy gave up 6 the other night. I kind of got to go back to him to see what he's got.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
I know. A couple of games for Freddie and then take a little break, and now he's back in there. All right. We'll see what Freddie's got tonight. Good stuff. Yeah. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and, of course, up on YouTube Live. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at...
After that gaffe we heard today, we need a big response tomorrow. You got it?
Guaranteed. I guarantee it.
It's happening at 4 p.m.
And we'll chat then.
OverDrive on TSN is powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score.
Oh, this is cute. Yeah, there's no price on this.
Oh, that's because it's not for sale. We're just vehicle specialists.
But the last place I went sold all kinds of things.
At Fountain Tire,